Listen.
Live up in this mother lover, some you might not never know nothing about. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. My name is MysDiggi, and you are here with us on this hump day, midweek Wednesday, Mercury's Day. And I'm here with my co-host, Dan DNA. What you saying, bruv? You good?
Yeah, good.
Enjoying the heat?
No. you know I'm like,
Yo, yeah,
I'm out in it all day working. So
yeah. I hear that.
It's not that enjoyable.
You know what I've heard is good? Shout out to the Irish Moss boss. He shouted this out. Chaga. You know the chaga mushroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a sunscreen you can get. Yeah. And it's meant to be really good. Like he showed me a before and after where he's like lobster boy.
His red arse Irish arm.
Mad, yeah. Mad lobster boy, like from the arm cut off, you know, like the sleeves. Yeah, it was all red. And then he said 3 days later, and he showed the next picture and it was like, right, he's got a nice tan.
Ah.
Yeah, so I'll link you up, man. We'll try and find a link for it. I think I posted it somewhere, so I got it. But yeah, that's something you should look out for. If you have, you know, if you're somewhat sensitive to the sun, you know, then in some way, then try this chaga sunscreen, chaga mushroom. There's a sunscreen made from it. I think it's got like shea butter and other ingredients as well, but it's all natural, all made from the earth. Do you know what I mean? So you ain't got to worry about toxifying yourself with any cancerous this, that, and the third. And also, it obviously, yeah, helps a lot of people. So yeah, try that out. But yeah, other than that, man, it's been a mad week as usual. But we're here to celebrate, by the way. You know, not sure if people know or not, but this is actually the 50th episode of something you might not never know nothing about. I was going to swear them, but we got to be careful because what's called watershed, isn't it?
This is the family friendly hour.
Friendly hour, yeah. So we got to, you know what I mean, be careful. Shout out to the team in the building, all my common senses. You know we love you bitches and bitchettes. You know what I mean? We don't discriminate when we say that. You know, we say that in an endearing term just in case. I wouldn't try to get sued. Big up Clean in the building. He says, salute kings and queens. Salute, brother. Shout out to Turbo Tubberlicious in the building. I believe he's going to be down there this weekend, boy. I'll shout out what was going on this weekend. Salute to you, brother. Shout out to Robbie Love. What's going on? Good to be back, man. Don Smithard. Yes. Isle of Wight, brother, right there. Shout out to DJ Pro Tracks in the building. Yo, we appreciate you lot coming through, man. Common senses. This is something you might not never know nothing about. As always, we try and bring you, you know what I mean, things that can enlighten the mind in some form of way. Like we don't want people to go crazy over this stuff, but at least, like, you know, if you're interested in what should we say, like things that are not necessarily of the normie type, you know what I mean? Like things that are a bit deeper than just surface level box sets and, you know, binge watching shit on Netflix and all that. This is the place to be, man.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You can always go out there and do a bit more research yourself, man, because this is the stuff we find interesting. Do you know what I mean? We've always been chitting and chatting for years now about stuff that people will probably be like, oh, what are they talking about? What? But, you know, we find it interesting. And so we're trying to link up with people that are in the same stratosphere when it comes to all of that. Shout out to BLA, man. This guy, yo, he dropped some bombs when he was here last time, man. Big love, bruv. Big love. Good to see you, man. Yeah, so we're celebrating the 50th on this one. You know, it feels good. How do you feel about it, D? We managed to plow through. Yeah. We've missed a couple weeks, but, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, there's some of it's been, like, growing, you know, it's growing. It's just, we can only sort of, we're doing it all just off our own backs, really, aren't we? It's just like, this was our little idea of, like, let's just set something up, and it's like, you know, we're trying to sort of build it into something that looks and sounds good, and so, you know,
tinkering. You know what I mean? Tinkering.
Now look, like we've got new graphics for the 50th anniversary, 50th episode.
You did there. Smoothed it out. What, Dina? Yo. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we've got something a bit different. And today as well, we've got a bit of a different show with like a pre-recorded guest, which we're gonna try and do some more of, I think, in the future.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So that frees us up for, in terms of like not just getting people on a Wednesday between certain times, is that like we can now, branch out a bit more.
Yeah, and we're probably gonna make that move, I think, after this onto the other channel, because things will probably get a bit more.
They're expecting some flack.
Yeah. Things could get a bit more, you know what I mean? A bit more iffy, a bit more like, hey, you're not supposed to talk about
off
that.
Road.
Yeah, and obviously, like, I'm still
change the tires.
I said you got to change the tires. It's true. I just got my tires checked today, funny enough, because I got to do some mileage. But yeah, it's true. We have to be careful, because obviously I'm on my channel, innit? And I don't know if I can get away with as much as I want to on here without them starting to do mad striking and all that. I don't need that. Do you know what I mean? But I still need, like this, I find quite therapeutic, being able to talk publicly about all these sort of things.
Yeah.
Usually, put it in a tune, man, write in a song, and then you might bump into people, that tune where you, blah, blah, you know. But other than that, you don't really get to conversate with people about these sort of topics that we dive into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, that shit's stimulating, more so than binge watching Better Call Saul, or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's that stupid...
The Good Wife.
Islands.
The Good Wife.
Love Island.
Oh no, you're not watching The Good Wife. I am. Yeah.
Are you watching The Good Wife? Nah, don't get me wrong though. There's a time and a place, like, I don't mind traveling and watching all that sort of stuff, but it's like to watch it and then go, let's chat about the whole thing, and that's our conversation. Is just some like film or something that you know what I mean? When there's so much going on in the world that is actually more interesting, because the more you learn about it, the more you're like, oh right, you feel a bit more empowered in a way.
And Robbie loves saying we had Farmer, Bad Bones, Big Cakes, and we want this show to be like the UK hip hop exploration of other topics.
Yeah,
that's the roots of it. Still, we still want to get as many of the rappers in, and producers and DJs and whatever else, and just keep it in the culture. But it's just that we need to sort of. It's always been about this anyway. The things that we're trying to explore is nothing outside of what hip hop culture was in the first place, which is like finding your own path outside of the established path, hooking up your electricity to the street lights instead, to run your decks and to run your sound system in the house party.
That's a beautiful way of putting it, bruv. That's exactly it. It's like, we always found our way outside of the system, do you know what I mean? And spoke about it, and you know what I mean? But it feels like, I don't know, somewhere along the line that obviously changed, and probably where a lot of us weren't into the mainstream music as much as we used to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it's like real hip hop, and people go, what is real hip hop? And you can kind of go, that's what it is. Real hip hop was when you were paying homage to the people who taught you about hip hop and how to be hip hop. It was also like making sure you stay within certain boundaries and you don't break certain rules. Obviously not biting people's lyrics, or coming out with lyrics that don't make sense, that just sound, it's a vibe, whatever. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And not to knock people that do that, I just think that it's quite easy to do that. It's not as creative as how people were putting words together, in the sort of golden era time. We call it the golden era because it's the time when it's like, yo, this is something special. Do you know what I mean? Because you had a bunch of MCs out there, a bunch of producers, bunch of DJs, bunch of dancers, bunch of graffiti artists that were like laying the standard, laying down the law, respectively at their different times. And for me, that's what, when people say real hip hop, as much as they can't even answer when someone goes, what do you mean is real hip hop? I think that's what it is. When you say, oh, what, are you a hip hop head? Yeah. Who are you inspired by? And they can reel off this, that, and the third. But there are a lot of people where it started happening where they'd have to call them hip hop, even though their music was more grime, or it was more, dubstep, or whatever. But that's how it could sell to the sort of the stateside listeners. You know what I mean? And then everyone just allowed it. And then you ended up having like R&B songs that were hip hop. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Or hip hop songs that were in the R&B charts. It's like, what the hell is going on there?
But
you know what I mean?
It used to. Well, I mean, it still does. But you know, the people would listen to rap that touched on like every aspect of life. And now it's sort of. It's not just with rap music, but it's become focused on like the commercial stuff, what sells, and
my dance.
Whereas like the other stuff should be equal measures of all parts of life, social commentary.
Balance it.
You know, the conspiracy stuff has always been there, isn't it?
Yeah, man, come on, man.
The wordplay, you know, even the stuff that we've looked at with like etymology and all this, you know, it's always been in there.
Yeah. So, for sure.
It's the exploration of words.
Illuminati know my mind, but was it Illuminati know my mind, but my mind, soul, and my body, or something like that?
Yeah.
Or they want, Illuminati want my mind. You know, like there's bad stuff, and you'd be surprised that some of the artists, like I've reeled off some of the De La Soul stuff that they were saying in what 96 or whatever, and you know, experiments with needle and skin connect. No wonder where we live is called the projects, you know, things like that, where it's like, yo. So I'm sure people who were of the essence back then did hear that stuff, but maybe think they went with the times that changed and didn't, you know, there's some of us that still cling on to that, like, yo, this is the essence of what made me who I am in this music world or whatever. And I'll never forget that. That's a real artist to me. A fake artist or whatever the other side is someone who don't care about who they've, whose shoulders they had to sit on, or they don't care about, you know, who brought them in at this point, or who let them stay in their yard at when they could, you know, all different things that are like, yo, that means something, man. You should always remember that. You should always like, so I think it's where morals are involved. That's the real musician. That's the real artist. You know what I mean? And that's what we try and keep here, that essence right there. So I do feel that there are going to be a bunch of people from the scene that might not want to be on it. That might be like, because they don't see the things the same way we do. Unfortunately, we don't all get to see the same information, so we all think differently. And we're all born on different days as well. You know what I mean? So there's obviously got to be a difference there somewhere. That's all I'm saying. I won't get too deep into that because dude will fire shots at me.
I like that. That's a good one. That's a nice tip of the hat.
Wicked. So first of all, let's give a big shout out to the connoisseurs. We got to give a shout out to the connoisseursuk.com. That's right. If you need any of your high quality CBD products, you should go to connoisseursuk.com, purchase from there because, you know, to be honest, it's like I've been getting feedback from people that have been getting stuff from there, and everyone's just like, yeah, that stuff works, man. Like, whether it's they need calming down, whether they got aches and pains, you know, there's so many different ways that it can help you. I've noticed a lot of people appreciate it. So shout out to the crew out there in Connoisseurs UK land. Make sure you hit them up. You can get anything from chocolates, Belgian chocolates. You can get dark. You can get milk chocolate. You can get CBD balms, and also their products are like split. You can get sativa version of it or an indica version, and obviously you understand sativa's more the upper, and indica's class is more when you're leaning back in the car. You know what I mean? That's like, yo, I need some sleep. Couple sprays of that, or you could get chocolate. You know, hit up a couple of them, and they'll get you to the place you need to be. You can get CBD sprays as well, and that's what I was doing there. Spray under the tongue, and you can also get full spectrum, so you can get both all clumped into one bottle, which is obviously indica and sativa, and that will trust me, shit helps, man. It's really good. We wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't. Believe that, man. That's real. And also the Belgian chocolate stirrers, man. Can't forget them. Just pour a little water in a cup, chocolate stirrer in there. After like 3 minutes, bam. That's like, what? And it'll put you to sleep if need be. Make sure you hit up Connoisseurs UK. When you get to the checkout, make sure you type in the acronym for this show, which is SYMNNKNA. That's Simna. Something you might never know nothing about. 20. Right? SYMNNKNA pt.50, and you'll get yourself 20% off any order from Canisa's UK. All right. Now, get out of the way. We've got to do some housekeeping and let people know where we're going to be at coming up.
Housekeeping. 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 Housekeeping.
Yeah.
Housekeeping right here. Listen to this. All right, let's do this weekend first. I mean, if people are going to be there, I don't know if you lot are going to be there still, but it's worth giving them a shout out because I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. My French brothers, Smokey Joe and the Kid, are going to be down here on Saturday. That's it. In the UK on Saturday at Boomtown Festival, bitches and bitchettes. That's right. Boomtown Film and Music Festival 2022. Oh, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Oh, wait. That doesn't even look, the date on that looks wrong, innit?
This don't look like the same one, does it?
Yeah, that doesn't even look right.
It's not the same one. Yeah.
But anyway, so we're going to be down there this August. I believe it's August the 12th, is it? Let me find this right. You know what I mean? I want to mess this up for the crew that's going to be there. Right, yeah. So, August 13th, my bad. August 13th, we're going to be down there at Boomtown Festival. And I believe we're playing about 7:30. Yeah, we're playing about 7:30 at Boomtown Fair. And I got to let you not know exactly where it is.
Boomtown Fair, that's what it will be under. The address is, I've got it here, hold on.
Oh, you got it there?
It's the Matterley Estate, Ovington, Alresford, Hampshire. Is that it? I think that's it.
No, it's in Winchester.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in Winchester. Yeah, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I had the right link there. And yeah, it seems like there's a few other spots.
Boomtown Festival.
Yeah, a few other spots are trying to jack the name by the looks of it, man. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, man. So anyway, we're going to be down there. You can hit people up to find out. Me especially, hit me up at MysDiggi on the Insta or Twitter if you're going down there. And I'll let you know exactly what time we're playing and where we're at. I know it's at 7:30, but where it's at, let me check. No, it's not that one.
Yeah, the Matterley Estate. Yeah, it is there.
It's the Matterley Estate.
Yeah.
Oh, it is there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boomtown Fair.
Boomtown Fair. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So we're on at 7:30 at the Engine House. Engine House. Make sure you mother lovers get on down there. Copper County, right? We're going to be in Copper County, 7:30. We play at the Engine House. That's Smokey Joe and the Kid, featuring myself, MysDiggi, and my brother, Yoshi the Original. Okay, and then going on.
Turbo Tubbalicious is right. There's an address on the ticket. If you buy the ticket.
The thing about it is, we only just found out as well that they're not shouting out who the lineup is. They're not telling us who's performing. So it's going to be a surprise for everybody. They've scaled it down a bit from what it used to be.
Really?
And yeah. And it's a surprise thing. But we can tell you we're performing there. But we just don't know who else is there. So, hit us up. As I said before, Engine House, Copper County, 7:30 at the Engine House. Mother lovers. And moving on to August the 31st. This is a big one, man. You lot try to come down to the Jazz Cafe on Wednesday, August the 31st. It's going to be a pass the torch for Ty. Rest in peace to the brother Ty. Rest in eternal peace. And even in celebrating one of UK's greatest, indeed. Uncle Ty, man, we miss you. There's going to be a whole bunch of us performing. Trust me on that. Isetta Sheriff, Joker Star, Haroon Speaks, Amy True, Nutty P, Freshers, Black Twang, Psycho Mantis, K9, the Beatbox Collective, Shorty Blitz, Genesis Elijah, Skinny Man, myself, MysDiggi. Shout to DJ Lock. He's going to be there spinning for me. Wednesday, 31st of August at the Jazz Cafe. Grab tickets. All proceeds go to the Pass the Torch, the Thai Pass the Torch Foundation. So make sure you hit them up, mother lovers. That's going to be a crazy one. Let's get into the show, man. So listen, I think I already intro it anyway. Like we said, episode 50. Boy, We had to celebrate in some form of way. This is someone you lot might not never know nothing about, but it's someone that I've followed for a little while now, and I just think he's a very knowledgeable guy. And we found out that he's actually quite the facilitator as well. He knows so many people within the sort of truther community, for lack of a better term. And he's one of the few people that I could tell is a real one, because, yeah, it has become that case, the case where you realize there are some people just sort of planted there to either make people searching for the truth look silly or mislead them in some form of way. And he seems to be quite on it. Like the people that I've seen he communicates with all seem to be very on it as well. So we were very honored to get him on the show, because, you know what I mean, little old us in England, you know what I mean? But he saw what we did with David Wise, who's actually one of his friends. And then he was like, yeah, let's do this. So yeah, we were very honored to get him on, man. We managed to pre-record it because he's all the way in NY, and so obviously the timing with this couldn't work that way. But we hope you lot enjoy this one, man. Episode 50 of Shit You Might Not Never Know Nothing About. We got an interview with Vinny B out of the Bronx.
And we'll see you at the break anyway. We're going to do it in 2 halves, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have a little break in about 50 minutes or something.
See what
like
everyone
that.
thinks.
Yeah, man.
Get some mid-match commentary.
Bless up. Rest in peace. Yes, Robbie Love says rest in power, Ty and Black the Ripper. For real, man. Black the Ripper's another one. We missed that guy, man.
All right, I'm going to run this.
Yeah?
Hello! Run VT!
That's right, mother lovers. Some shit you might not never know nothing about. Myself, MysDiggi, Dan DNA. And guess what, man? We got a special guest right here. This guy, like, I've seen him, you know, on a few of the Killer Priest podcasts, or podcrafts, I should say. And, like, the stuff he comes up with, you know, it just has me like, for real? And you have to go and search, like, you got to go and look, like, is that for real? Is he just... But he never gets... I don't feel like he gets enough of a chance to really go deep into some of the information that he has. And, yeah, he facilitates quite a lot of different people as well, with different trains of thought. A bunch of shit you might not never know nothing about. Mother lovers, put some fire emojis in the chat room for my man, Vinny B, straight out of New York, man. Vinny B from the Bronx. What's going on? Was that clap, man? Yes, man. Good to have you, bro. Good to have you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for the introduction. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
all good, man. Yeah, definitely, man.
A little over a year now with Killer Priest. You know,
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun.
Hey, man. Hey, there's so much, man. So many different sort of lanes to go down, rabbit holes, as they say, to go down with you. But I think, first of all, you know, just to let people know who you are, like, we've called you a researcher, I say investigator, but how did you get started into sort of looking into the, you know, the unknown, the occult, you might as well say?
Okay. Good question. I mean, to me, it started with 9/11. That was my big, you know, catalyst moment. Before 9/11, raised by a father who was in the Navy, uncles in the Navy, taught, you know, America's the greatest, and, you know, all this freedom we have. Believed everything I was told. And then 9/11 happened again. Vinny from the Bronx. I wasn't right there in Manhattan, but, you know, I was able to, you know, see the helicopters flying over my neighborhood, see the smoke in Manhattan, see the skyline was changed. So it was traumatic. I was, you know, about 21 years old. So still learning, growing into a man. And that was my big moment of, you know, okay, I got to figure out what's going on in the world. You know, they were making it like, you know, bridges are going to blow up. The water's going to be poisoned by terrorists. Everything was about fear of terror. You know, my neighborhood had a lot of Muslims and people that went missing. You know, they worked in the bodegas and a lot of the corner stores, the gas stations. A lot of the Muslims were like basically, you know, rounded up and taken out of my neighborhood. So it was, you know, I had to look into it. And, you know, after a couple of years wasted on left-right nonsense, I found Bill Cooper. So Bill Cooper was like, you know, the first one to like wake me up. And, you know, it it was basically him like wanting to continue what he did because he was murdered, you know, right after 9/11. And then we had this guy, Alex Jones, that everybody was talking about and all the, you know, so, you know, I got involved in all that. And I started joining groups, activist stuff. I would go down to Ground Zero to protest. You know, when Occupy Wall Street came around, I'd show up. You know, I love interacting with people, you know, and trying to plant seeds and you know, also being around people that are into what you're into, right? You know, so being around other crazy conspiracy people was fun for me. So, you know, I enjoyed it. And then after a while, people were like, hey, you should start doing a show. So someone in the group I was with, We Are Change Connecticut, that started up, We Are Change started up after 9/11. So
online,
yeah, basically. And so different chapters roll over. And at the time I was in Connecticut with We Are Change Connecticut. And I started working with this guy, Howard Nema. And right away, my thing was, I want to get us guests, you know, if we could get some cool guests to come on. And I started reaching out and I actually started getting people, you know, and one of them was Fritz Sprigmeyer, which was like, you know, the author of Illuminati Bloodlines. And he had just got out of jail. And so that was like my first one, like my first big guest. And I think that was getting, you know, that brought a lot of traffic to us. It got us kind of big. And then new guests wanted to come on, you know. And all of a sudden I got involved in this big fight that was going on that I didn't even know about between Dr. Horowitz and this guy named Anthony Hilda. And I basically set up the show for them to ambush each other. And the truth came out that Hilda was a liar and Dr. Horowitz was telling the truth. So that's what got me in a lot of trouble. YouTube removed the video right away.
Wow.
We had weird incidents going on. My partner's like computers and everything started getting fried. Like it got kind of crazy. And then my personal life got kind of crazy. So I kind of fell out of doing stuff, like I said, for a while.
Wow.
And then COVID was the big thing that brought me back. And then since COVID, I've been working with Johnny Cerrucci. If people want to check out him, to me, he's the best on the Jesuits. He's also a flat earther. So, you know, why we get along so good. And, you know, and like I said, me and him were doing a lot to try to expose COVID. And that's why we did shows with Dawn and David, who I think are amazing. Amanda Volma from Canada, Dr. Kaufman, and, you know, and my partner Johnny too, also doing a lot to expose it. So that was our main focus. But obviously, you know, we can't do that on YouTube and certain platforms.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to get away with talking the talk now, isn't it?
When I went on to with Killer Priest, and like we were talking a little bit before the show, you know, I went on there to talk about, hey, the biggest thing right now is COVID and the Jesuits. See, the thing that I wanted to tie in, and maybe this would be great for your show and for your audience, for stuff they might never know nothing about, is
I like that.
The medical industry is based on a theory called germ theory. And germ theory was invented in the late 1800s by a Jesuit priest named Louis Pasteur. So, you know, what we did is a lot of us have looked into before that. It was terrain theory, like you mentioned earlier. And so, you know, to a lot of people, stuff you might not know, science and this and that is actually connected to the church, the Vatican. And most of the sciences that we know of, including germ theory, is created by a Jesuit priest. So, you know, like I'm mentioning, I'm also like to do a lot of research into the Jesuits. To me, the Jesuits are the real Illuminati. There's things where George Washington and other people in history, Abraham Lincoln, have talked about the Illuminati. It's not crazy talk. It's, you know, admitted. And what they're talking about is the Jesuits. The Jesuits even call themselves the Illuminati. most people have heard from Alex Jones and others about the Bavarian Illuminati, 1776, Adam Weishaupt. But Adam Weishaupt was trained in a Jesuit college by a Jesuit priest, and that's where he was given this stuff. So the people, the real hidden hand, right? Like you see Napoleon, everybody with the hidden hand. The real hidden hand is the Jesuits. And that's the real Illuminati. And that's what I went on to tell Killer Priest about. I think he was more into the flat earth talk. So he started making me go into flat earth, which, you know, I'm always willing to do. But to me, that was my main thing, was wanting to expose a little bit on the Jesuits. You know, hopefully most people know about this. I don't want to say things and get your show in trouble, but this event that's going on the past couple years.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was the main things, but I get into everything. So once Killer liked the show I did, then he was like, all right, what do you got for me? You know, and I was like, all right, let me get you Dave. Let me get you Dawn and David, his wife. Bro Sanchez is another big flat earther here in America.
Have you checked out Bro Sanchez then? No. Yeah, he's hilarious, man. He's got a wicked accent as well. But yeah, he goes in. Yeah. He goes in. Yeah, he's got an interesting accent. It sounds like, you know, Young Buck from G Unit, or he used to be in G Unit. He sounds like Young Buck. But like, yeah, talking all of this like flat earth and, you know, not Anunnaki, but he goes in it on the whole toroidal field stuff. And
he's from the South. He's from Georgia in the South. That's why he's got that type of accent.
Yeah. It sounds cool, man. It sounds really cool.
Yeah. So, Bro Sanchez, another great one. I think this is a great topic for, I don't know if you probably do and your audience, but if not, another big debate that's been going on that I've tried to get Killer Priest and a lot into is that all Black people didn't come from Africa. This was again created by the Jesuits in the late 1800s with their evolution and other nonsense. This is all Jesuit stuff. You know, we believe that Black people were already in America and that the Native Americans were mostly Black tribes and Black people. I also believe that most of them were Hebrew. I got evidence that even when Columbus showed up, the translator was a Hebrew translator. So why are you bringing a Hebrew translator if you're going to India? You're bringing a Hebrew translator?
When
the
Columbus
Cherokee
showed
Indians
up.
in America, the Cherokee Indians in America, up until not that long ago, they were taught in Hebrew. I got pictures from the early 1900s of Hebrew schools, and it's young Black children speaking Hebrew. So, you know, Black people were already in America was one of the big debates we got into in some of the heated shows early on.
Yeah, I saw that one, man. That went viral, man. The amount of heat that was involved there. I felt bad for Curry Mayo because obviously for him.
So you saw that one.
Yeah, I felt bad for him because do you know what's funny about his situation is that you know, YouTube always starts showing you videos that, hey, you might like this one, click this. And his kept popping up, especially on a Fire Stick. It kept popping up where he, you know, like he colorizes all these old pictures of Native Americans and whatnot. And then in the end, I saw that episode and I was like, oh, that's the same guy then. That's the same guy. But I felt bad because he was trying to obviously let people know what information he's got, but he didn't have it presented the way people usually do it on that show in terms of having a presentation and whatnot. And so they weren't even accepting it anyway because they're like, who are you to tell me where I'm from, kind of thing. But if they really got to hear it, they might understand, oh, right, I see what you're saying, because it is confusing, but I'm grown up like, so my Ghanaian, like my parents are African. So when you see, you know, there's certain people you see and you're wondering like, oh, so whereabouts in Africa would they have been from? And you can't see it. Do you know what I mean? Growing up, because your family, people you've seen around you, you can see that look. But then with Americans, it wasn't as such. Do you know what I mean? So, so I was like, wow. And then it makes sense with the West Indians as well, even more so, where you have Arawak communities, the Caribs, you know, like these are native people to them lands, but they're just as dark as people from Africa. But their hair might be a little bit more straighter, or their noses might be a little bit more thinner, or, you know, different things like that. But what we're forgetting as well is we don't know how long people have been mixing up around the world. We don't know how long. People have been traveling across waters for, can we say? Do you know what I mean? We can't even say. So we're probably all mixed up with shit we don't, there's shit we might not never know nothing about. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. So
well,
yeah.
I try to bring up even, you know, my own personal experience I could speak on, like, okay, Italian, right? And people, you know, will classify me as white or whatever. But here it is my dad. My dad is actually like the short, darker Italians with very thick hair and darker skin. And my dad's nickname was Blackie. People used to think my grandfather was a black man. You know what I mean? And
wow.
here it is not only in America, you know, is history all make believe. We also feel like with Europe, you know, and even a lot of UK history and all of Europe. Right away, people think white bloodlines. They think white families have been ruling, you know, the Ireland and all of Europe has been these white families. But in my research, I'm not seeing that. I'm actually seeing that these were black families up until not that long ago. You know, so
you're talking about like the Moors. You're talking about the Moors and all that when they were ruling. Yeah.
And it's funny you bring up the Moors and speaking on Kamiru. Kamiru is great with helping people trace their bloodlines.
Genealogy.
Now here it is. Yeah, genealogy. And here's one of the things is it's funny that a lot of black people in America, he's able to help them and they're tracing that they're coming to like Native American. And now white people in America, we're all like recently from Europe, you know? So like, we got to like just start going into European history, you know? So then I start looking into the European history of both my family's names, my mother's and my father's, and both of them go back to the Moors.
Oh, wow.
So again, my family just a few hundred years ago were Moors.
Wow.
You know, but now people are like, you're a white guy, you're white, you know, white American or something.
Well, we know that these are just words. They're like constructs, innit? Like if we look at like you got a white T-shirt on, no?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's quite a contrast in color of just, you know, your skin to the T. So it's like they've got us called, and the same thing. I got a black T-shirt on, and I'm meant to be black, but so we know we're not really. These are just titles that we're given, you know, and obviously there were political titles in it. I'm sure they still are now, and they meant something. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's strange that we can carry on and then teach our children to say the same thing, knowing that these words don't actually make sense. You know, in the way that we're using them, which is sad. But yeah, that's pretty deep, man.
A lot of us think that it started again in the late 1800s, and it was more of a legal term. Being black or white was a legal term.
Yeah, I believe
is you know what I think, what I'm leaning towards being the truth about it. And again, like you said, there's been so much intermixing for so long. You know, to think that anyone's like some pure bloodline from the days of Jesus or whatever. I mean, there's been a lot of intermixing, and to me, God obviously loves variety because everything, even animals, are different colors, different, you know, things. I mean, it would be boring if we all looked the same and every tree was the same and every person was the same. I mean, variety is beauty, you know, and, you know, it's just one of those tools that the Jesuits, I feel like the Jesuits since the late 1800s have created this whole racial fight that they're trying to have.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it was really like that. Even for European history, you know, I see paintings from the 1500s and they're showing me, you know, Knights Templars that are black men. And they look like the powerful men, you know, with wealth and power. And, you know, and you're seeing white people like looking with less maybe as fancy clothes and being kind of like the servants, you know, and it's like, who knows like what's really gone on. It doesn't seem like race was ever an issue in the past. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't look like the blacks were in a corner and the whites were in a corner. It was everybody getting along, you know, everybody's probably always gotten along.
I think like, you know, and especially like you're saying back then, you know, race wasn't a thing. Like race was probably a thing because race actually meant back then, like your lineage, your family. It didn't have anything to do with the color of your skin. But then, yeah, that obviously, in that sense, like people want to keep the power within the family name, the family crest. That, you know, you see that that whole thing with the what do you call it, where they've got their crests. There's a name for it.
Yeah, the family crest.
Yeah. There's another
but
name.
you've
Heraldry.
seen there's been some recent popes. I forget the exact pope's name a couple years ago, but his family crest was they were black people.
Yeah.
But you're looking at a white guy. So again, just like I'm saying, my family might have looked more like you know, 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Something recently happened in the 1800s or 1776, right? This day where supposedly we broke away from England, or we, you know, some farmers that left England turned around and then fought the great navy of England and defeated England. I mean, I just don't buy that story.
Yeah, something's going down that they ain't telling us, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah,
they just
I have my theories on that. If you want me to share, you know, stuff people might never known.
Yeah, this is show 50, man. We got to go in, Vinny. You got to go in.
I'm trying to throw out a bunch of good stuff for you as quick as I can.
Yeah.
You've probably seen one of the big topics recently too is Tartaria. You probably you guys have heard about Tartaria.
Do you know much about it?
That's a popular one.
Yeah.
Now, to me, I think one of the great things that people should look into is the Fomenko guy, the Russians. The research is Anatoly Fomenko, and it's a bunch of other guys too who wrote I think they're up to 26 books right now. I read the 21 of them. And they talk about history, fact or fiction. They talk about how 1,000 years were added in.
Yeah.
They also have a lot of great stuff on Russian history and Tartaria. And this is something I've been trying to get out to a lot of people in the Tartarian movement lately, is I found a correlation that 1776 might not have been, you know, the American Revolution, but this might have been when England and Europe was showing up here to take over land from the Tartarian Empire that ended. I think 1776 was when the Tartarians were destroyed and were being erased from history. And I think that's when you have the Catholic Church and the Europeans show up and start taking over America.
Who were the Tartarians?
To me, that would be what we would consider today Russia. Which is funny because even like, you know, they talk about the Aryan race, Aryans, Tartarians, Russian. I point out Russian coming from the word Rus, meaning red again, red. You know, the families like the Romanovs and all them, they were gingers, you know, red. I think that Russia is tied to red, like ginger white people. And I'd like to point this out too, is when you see a lot of these people bringing up the Great Reset of 1800s and they're showing you all the orphan trains. You guys probably seen all the orphan train pictures.
Yeah.
They're all white, right? They're all white.
Yeah.
And to me, they actually, you know, like we talk about, everybody has variety, you know, no race all looks the same. So not all white people look the same. They have kind of certain features to me that seem Russian. They seem like they could be Tartarians. I think those orphans are Tartarians. And
the orphans of the parents who were destroyed by the invaders or whatever.
Catholics.
I believe that the Romanov family and them, which were a part of this bloodline of these European families and all them that have been ruling, I think they went against the Rothschilds and the Vatican and the order that they had back then about a centralized bank and all this stuff. There's, again, I don't know, but there's a lot of researchers who pointed out that they were exposing it. And this made the Rothschilds and the Vatican and them, you know, swear like one day we're going to take out this family. So even though that's like the cousin of the Tsar, you know, the guy in Germany and related to the Queen of England, and it doesn't matter, you know. You go against the real power, which to me is the high priest and the church. They'll kill whoever. JFK too, you know. JFK thought he was going to stand up to the Pope and to the powers that be. And he didn't want to go along with a lot of things they want. So what do? They have a guy connected to the Jesuits, the Bruder, go stand there, record this. We're going to shoot him in his face in front of everyone. We're going to show the whole world. We'll blame it on some, CIA agent. And life goes on. And we killed the American president right in front of everyone, And obviously the Kennedy family is connected to these families, but he didn't do what he was told, So it also shows that not everything is controlled, and that there's still the free will that people have, and there are people who try to do good,
Yeah.
And, that's why we got to show support and help each other out.
But do you think it's tricky now? Obviously there are a lot of what people call psyops now. So there are people put out there, like you obviously knowing, like, like you talked about the terrain theory thing, of course. You got to keep it, 100 all the way. That's the book right there, man. People need to get that, man. What really makes you ill? I mean, it's a whole different game. Like when you get down to the nitty gritty, and it's like, oh, okay, you understand that things aren't what they seem, and for you to understand what they are, then what if it's not what it seems? Then what is it? You got to really dig deep. You got everything that you thought, I can't be bothered to do that, man. I got to read this whole, I got to watch this. It's like, I ain't got an hour to watch that video. I was like, bruv, you got to do it. So then and you have a lot more freedom, freedom of will. So yeah, it's tricky, man. But so what makes you feel like it is the Vatican, like it's the Roman Catholic, power that's in control?
Well, to me, again, when I first started out, I talked about this on Killer and other ones. Everybody used to tell me it was the Jews. That's what everybody used to tell me. It's the Jews. The Jews are, they're the evil ruling the world. But again, I have a different view on that too. I don't know if you've seen the show I did with the first one with Killer. I openly talk about, people see me and they make the comment, oh, you look like Jesus. And I'm like, no, I look like Cesare Borgia. This isn't what Jesus looked like. You know what I mean? Like the white image of Jesus, that's Cesare Borgia. He was the Pope's son in 1492. Wow. And that's actually in one of Killer Priest's songs. That's what was funny. I talked about Killer, like, hey, you helped me look into the Catholic Church. Wow. So to me, again, the Jews aren't blonde hair, blue-eyed people or this and that. Some of these people have Jewish names or whatever, but it's not even, again, a racial thing. It's like, they'll use anyone. They'll use an Asian, they'll use an African, they'll use someone from England, from Germany, America. It doesn't matter. If you're going to push their agenda, they're happy with you. To them, there's no racism. They use all the races, so it's not like so much one race doing it. It's people talk about the secret societies and this and that. Well, the Vatican went to war with the Freemasons and the Knights of Malta and all these secret societies. Friday the 13th is unlucky to the Masons, because that's when the church and them went after them for being too strong. The Templars getting too strong. The first international bankers were the Templars. Secret societies has a lot to do with it, but then you got the people like, any Freemason is evil, but then you talk to the average Freemason and they don't know nothing, do you know a lot of Freemasons?
Do you know, because in America, it seems like there's a lot of like anybody could be a Freemason.
Yeah, it really is, and any town, every little town you go to, it's going to be run by the Masons. It really will, but again, there's people above them, they're still like nothing compared to it, and to me, the church has been able to disguise themselves. And what better, again, to act like you're about Jesus, the guy of love and love your neighbor and all this good stuff, right? And here it is they go around and the crusade, the Inquisition done by the Jesuits and all these evil things we're hearing about through history. it all roads lead to Rome. It goes to the church. You know, even if we could go, I'll try to talk some UK history, right? Like we got like King Henry, I like to talk about, right? He was the one who had the 6 wives, right? And he had a couple of his wives beheaded and this and that.
Yeah.
Well, I like to point out that Henry was ready to go to war with the Catholic Church because the Pope wouldn't let him get a divorce. You know, he wanted away from Catherine, but Catherine was such a powerful family from Spain. She was always a great Catholic. And she goes to the Pope like, I'm a good Catholic from this good Catholic family. I'm always supporting you guys. He just wants to, you know, bang these young girls. He wants Anne Boleyn or whatever, you know. I don't want a divorce, you know. And the Catholic Church sided with her. So Henry was mad. Henry was like, you know, I want that young 18-year-old. I don't want to be with, you know, I haven't had kids with her. I should have another wife, you know. And he literally was ready to go to war with who? The Catholic Church. So again, we talk about these families, right? And they're intermixing to keep the power. Well, who allows them to even get married? It's the Pope will say, you know, you can't even get married, or your marriage isn't, you know, doesn't count, you know, because we say it doesn't count. So who really has the power?
He was a redhead, though.
Who?
He was a redhead,
Henry
right?
VIII was a redhead.
Yeah, it was Henry VIII, not him.
Yeah, and Elizabeth was a redhead as well. So they're all redhead.
Yeah.
Bruce.
And they claimed that their bloodline went back to King Arthur and the Welsh princes and all this stuff. Yeah, so I think they claimed more superiority for the crown over everyone else. You know. I think that's
yeah, but to me, I don't believe anything these people say. You know, so you know, we gotta
the redheads.
Yeah.
Even the ginger people used to. Like, you got to believe all gingers.
Yeah, you can't discriminate. Ginger lives matter over here, man. Ginger lives matter.
Well, you know what's funny again with gingers? You know, there's a lot of black people I've met who have a reddish tint to their hair.
Yeah.
Even Malcolm X, they used to call him Red, a nickname Red. He had a red tint to his hair.
Yeah.
My hair, you're looking at it, you're like, he has black hair, he's an Italian. If I was standing in the sun, you would see a red tint to it.
Yeah, like an auburn tint.
You know what I mean? So again, a mixing of like blackamoors with ginger, whether Tartarian or wherever that comes from, you know, it would breed a mulatto like us Italian.
Oh.
Hold on,
we lost his.
You know, we're just a mix of Moors and Tartarian.
Yeah, Moors and Tartarians. Jeez. That is going in, boy. Yeah, that is going in. That's, for real. That is a mix, isn't it? All right, so all right, where should we go, man? Out of Africa. So do you think where do you think people, we were talking about this, like, did they just come out of the ground? Like, where did people come from then? If it wasn't like just one place and then spread it out, people just came from somewhere. You know what I mean? Us as human beings, like, how does it work then?
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, you know, this is going to be speculation. I can't, you know, say that I know what happened in the beginning.
What's your theory? Sorry, I should ask that.
But me, I go towards, you know, Christianity or the 3 major religions. Even a lot of the things that were considered pagan or whatever, they're also talking about original creator, whether it was, you know, the guy making people out of pottery, like they show in Egypt, on the potter's wheel, you know, what is it, the cow or the goat guy? And, you know, there's always a beginning where man was created, you know. Where that original place is, people have their theories, you know. Does it really matter to me? You know, not really. You know, I see we're all, you know, we all came from one, we're all the same, you know, again, different colors, shapes, sizes, but we're still come from the original one. My guess would be it was, you know, black melanated man in the beginning. Would have been the original man. Was it Africa? Was it Europe, Russia, America? I don't know. They like to push that it's out of Africa, but to me, that's again the Jesuits, and they're trying to push evolution and the Darwin theory that, you know, even that they're trying to say it came out of Africa.
So you don't think it would be like man coming up the same way in different parts of the land? Like, could that not be possible?
I feel the old world looked a lot different. You know, there probably wasn't giant salt oceans separating. You know, man, probably everything was a lot different. You know, right now I feel like we're almost in like an apocalyptic world. And that's not just that as a Christian view. Again, all the cultures talked about a flood. People have talked about fire. There's evidence of that too. That's a fun show. I know some crazy guy, what's his name? Jerry from When the Buildings Cried, done a lot of research to show evidence of there was this huge fire that burnt up all these buildings and stuff in the past. Evidence of the mud flood. So, you know, things have changed. I mean, I could look at a map from the 1700s and it's showing California as an island. You know what I mean? Things have changed just in the past few hundred years, you know? So I don't really know what it could have been, you know? The maps I've looked at are interesting, but nothing really like that much different. To me, I think it's safe to say, here's a good one, Ancient Aliens, right? How about that one? Is that big for you guys? Ancient Aliens?
The TV show?
Right? Yeah. That's the big thing in America.
The guy like that, with the hair in it, the guy like that.
Giorgio.
Yeah, they always got a meme for him.
Yeah. So to me, the big the thing with this is I think it's clear that in the past there was an advanced race of people that were here that literally had a one world where everybody spoke one language, and everybody, it was completely over the whole world. They were building giant pyramids and giant structures throughout the whole world. They always love to just push Egypt with these 3 pyramids, but guess what? You know, there's pyramids bigger than that in China. There's big pyramids in South America. They just found one recently they think might be the biggest in Mexico. There's pyramids all over America. There's pyramids in Australia. So it wasn't just the Egyptians, you know, that did this. There was literally a one world already. And, you know, to me, the Bible talks about it and other ancient cultures talk about it. And we look at it as the Greek gods too. We're taught about Zeus and all these people were some fantasy that our, you know, our ancestors were stupid, just making up stories. They all told the same random story all over the world. But, you know, they clearly were telling the same story. They had different languages. So, you know, to the Norse, they're talking about Thor and this and that. And to the Greeks, it was Zeus. But they're all talking about the same people. And again, you know, sorry for white people, but Zeus and all of them were originally black also. And that changed in the 1800s. There's plenty of evidence that even the Greek gods were black up until the 1800s.
What,
you know,
the pictures of them, or like when you say that, is that like the pictures and all that, or paintings of them?
Yeah, the pictures, the stories, the researchers in the 1800s were talking about that.
Because that's talking like as if they were real people, like they were actually gods.
And I did a show 10 years ago with this researcher from New Zealand, amazing archaeologist, Jonathan Gray. And he also was like, yeah, Vinny, there's tons of evidence that Zeus and these people were really here. Like, they're not a made up story. There's statues, there's these stuff all over, you know, the pillars of Hercules and all these things that, you know, people like, there's evidence that, you know, this person lived here. You know, was he a god or this and that? That's, you know, a debate or whatever, but these people were here. You know, our ancestors weren't crazy. They, again, want us to think that our ancestors were like cavemen and stupid and we've just evolved recently and now we're the smartest thing ever, you know? And so what do is all these megalithic things all over the world that they can't hide, even though the Catholic Church for 200 years goes around blowing up everything, amazing fires all over throughout history, but they can't get rid of everything, right? So what do? Aliens came here a long time ago and the aliens built it all. That's gotta be it, you know? Because cavemen are primitive ancestors who, you know, they thought they'd fall off the edge. They didn't know how to do anything. You know, they were making up stories about Zeus and all these gods. So, you know, they're stupid, you know? So we can't believe anything, you know, that they've said.
All right. So you say that you can't believe anything that they said, but you've gone to the scripture a couple times now and said, like, it even says it in the Bible. So how do you know that the Bible is even legit then?
Good question. That's a great question. I'm glad I'll get to answer that. That I get asked a lot. I remember the first Killer Priest show. People like, you said you believe in Jesus. I said, yes. And then you say you're not religious. I said, yes. You're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, all right, let me try to explain, well, the first thing that got me is let's talk about King James. This was the first thing that got me. Again, as you guys could tell, I'm talking and preaching that the Jesuits are the evil. They're the hidden hand. They're the evil running things behind the scenes. So to me, I never wanted to get into the Bible either, because I always looked at the Catholic Church and I said, this is just pure evil. I don't want nothing to do with these people. Anything they say, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Well, you brought up Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I'm Italian, so forced to be Roman Catholic.
I knew it, bro.
Forced to make confirmation and all that, and I hated it. I hated going to church. Of course, you could see homosexual priests and things that went on. I didn't feel great in church. I didn't feel like I was being taught anything. To me, the Catholic Church is evil, and I'll get to that in a second. So to me, I never wanted to look into it, but then I had this guy who brought it up to me about Guy Fawkes Day, which I know is big to you guys in the UK, but a lot of Americans don't know.
Yeah.
And it was really the V for Vendetta movie that came out. Remember when V for Vendetta came out?
Yeah.
Remember the 5th of November? Well, that was the first time I think a lot of Americans or anyone got to hear about Guy Fawkes. Now, here's a funny story real quick. Is me, the 5th of November, that's Bill Cooper Day. That's the day they killed Bill Cooper. So I was always like thinking like, this is Bill Cooper Day, and then all of a sudden I found out who Guy Fawkes was. So I started looking into Guy Fawkes, and I'm looking and I see that he was a Jesuit and that he was connected to the Jesuits who wanted to blow up King James, and not just him, but, Parliament too. So that was the first time when I was like, so wait a sec, why would the Jesuits want to kill, their homosexual puppet King James, who's pushing the propaganda that they want? And that was the first time it like messed me up. I was like, wait, I don't get this. I got to try to make sense of this. Why wouldn't they be promoting this guy? Why wouldn't the Jesuits want us all to be reading this fake propaganda book that they invented, And it got me thinking. And that's when I started looking in and started thinking like, this one guy, I found this book, an older book, and King James, definitely looked like a black man to me. Maybe not the darkest man, but he definitely looked like a Moor. I started looking at like he was always married to his wife. They were pushing that he was a homosexual. And then I looked into that, and it was like he wasn't homosexual. It was literally his bodyguards sometimes would have to sleep in his bed because he was kidnapped so many times. And the Jesuits kept trying to kill this guy. So I started looking in, and I'm like, so wait, King James is the enemy of my enemy, right? So maybe this guy ain't that bad. And, I started looking into it, and I said, wait, why don't they want us to have this book, if it is all lies? And that was, my first time was really starting to look into King James. And I started looking, I'm like, he was married to one woman. He had a bunch of kids. I looked at people that hated King James, and they would all talk about he was this, very family man, and, was about ending war for England. And to me, it seemed like he was a Protestant. And that's when I started finding out about the whole beef between the Protestants and the Catholic Church, which I'm sure you guys know a lot more history than Americans do. So, it was this whole big awakening for me. And that's when I found out that, to me, it seems like the Catholic Church hijacked Christianity, and they like to parade around acting like they're doing this in the name of Jesus, when in reality, they're doing it for Lucifer. And they want a one world government, which has already happened in the past. To me, they look at it as Babylon. That's why they're obsessed with Babylon, you know, and Nimrod and all this stuff, because that was already in the past when they had the one world. They were building stairways to heaven, probably pyramids and giant buildings. You know, people get into now were these all like electrical grids, like the buildings and cities look like electrical grids.
Yeah, I seen that cathedrals, was it cathode or whatever?
Yeah.
Cathode,
Cathode, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, some of the greatest buildings all over America and all over the world are Catholic buildings, these Catholic church buildings, you know, which to me, I look into, and it's like the Jesuits show up in the 1800s and they just started taking over all the beautiful structures that were still standing. They would come in, throw a cross on it, you know, put a bell here and this and that. And they're like, yeah, this is the Catholic Church. They take this big building. They're like, this is the post office. You know, this is City Hall.
Throw a cross on the bell, you know. It's the Catholic Church. Yo, it's that simple, boy. It's that simple. Yeah, just throw a cross on the bell. Hey, look. Oh, shit, that's the Catholic Church, man. Right, how long's that been there? Since the 1400s, man. This is like old relic here. Look, this is St. Catherine got her first. She popped her cherry and this, that. That's man. When you put it like that, I get it in a sense, but it still could be. Is it not possible that could still be?
It. Well, here I'll give you more then for the Catholic Church, because like Razul and Killer's people used to always come at me too. Well, think about who has the power.
Don't say come at me too. I'm not coming at you.
No. I mean, in a good way. In a good way. I'm having fun. Trust me. I'm having fun with you.
Glad to hear that, man.
And what was I going to say now?
You're saying you had another one for the Catholic thing, because you said they.
Oh yeah, so people talk about like who has the power to control stuff, right? Well, I pointed out on Killer Priest in many shows. Well, like the Supreme Court in America, the Supreme Court isn't filled with Jewish people. The Supreme Court is filled with a majority of Roman Catholics. We talk about pedophilia in America. The Catholic Church is the only organization I know in the world that literally has molested like thousands and millions of people, and no one goes to jail. Now, who has power like that other than the Catholic Church? The Catholic Church also controls all the biggest universities. This is where I got Razul and those guys. They were coming at me. I'm like, well, let's talk about all the biggest universities. They're all Jesuit universities. We could go through the ones like in New York, it's Fordham University. Fordham is where Donald Trump went to school. That's where Denzel Washington, the famous actor, went to school. Bill Murray and people, they go to Fordham University. In Connecticut, they go to Yale for Skull and Bones and this and that. Whatever state it is, the top college is a Jesuit university, not Jewish, not Muslim, not, Buddhist or anything else. It's a Jesuit university. Harvard, Georgetown, all the biggest places, they're all connected to the Catholic Church. So who controls, all of history, all of science, all of everything? Catholic Church.
Wow.
It's that simple.
When you say it like that as well, who controls it? Who tells you what it is?
Who controls the Lucifer telescope in Arizona here in America? They got this giant lens. It's the biggest lens, and they call it the Lucifer. Again, why is the Catholic Church calling a lens the Lucifer lens? Why is he not like Jesus? We're doing this for Jesus. We'll name it Lucifer. Here we go.
And the thing is,
on top of it.
If you look at the name that they've took Lucifer, it doesn't even add up to the word Lucifer. They've just it's like the LCIR thing, and they just inserted all the other letters to make it into the Lucifer telescope. Yeah. So they've done it, they didn't have to call it Lucifer. They could have called it like Light Finder or something, something else. But yeah, definitely picked Lucifer. Definitely, yeah, they have. Yeah.
Which again shows who they're really about, and how they're the ones who control even science, I thought Dave did a great job, on your show, getting into stuff. And, when he showed you, I remember he showed that chart of like, here's the groups that control everything. And one of them was the Club of Rome, right? I saw he had the Club of Rome and this and that. I mean, that's really what it is. It's these people that are all over the world that are part of a one creating a one world system, because they're trying to emulate with Nimrod and Babylon, ancient Babylon. And
so they're going off of them old scriptures as well. That's so you're saying that they're, because that's the other thing then, because like it also feels like people that are very religious, that are into the Bibles, they will be like, yeah, this is the end times. Look, it says in this book. But then the people that are in control are obviously, they understand how the book goes. So why wouldn't they kind of create that picture as well for people? You know, like we're talking about with the Job stuff.
I agree totally with you. I mean, I honestly have some views on Christianity that I don't even say publicly, because I know everybody's just going to hate me and want to kill me. Yeah. You know, I don't go to church. I have my belief. I believe Jesus was real. To me, one of the things I point out too is the church, it's called the Antichrist, you know, not anti-Muhammad, not anti-Buddha. You know, this beast system is all about insulting Jesus and creating this Antichrist system, which again, to me, right away makes me think, okay, why are they obsessed with this guy? You know, if he's nobody, if he's just made up, if he's just, you know, Santa Claus born December 25th, it's the son Vinny, or whatever people want to say to me. I mean, then why is the whole world based on this man? Whether hating or the time dating systems, everything is based on Christianity and Jesus, you know, in the world that we've been living in, you know. So to me, you know, I don't think that's really a debate to me at this point. Now it's just, you know, is he the one? Is he your truth? Is he the savior? You know?
Do you believe that then he's gonna come back and save everybody? Like, are you that?
Again, I don't want to give too much away on my crazy beliefs and start a whole new thing with you guys, but you know, there's a part of me that I feel that it actually happened already.
Okay.
For real?
Yeah,
what you know?
Yeah, because like to me, also using some of the flamenco guys from Russia, and the dating seems off. To me, it seems like Jesus was just about 1,000 years ago. When you mix in like the Roman dating of the Jewish, the Punic Wars, and you get the Jewish rebellion of 66 AD. What I notice is when you get into like the British history of the Crusaders and like William the Conqueror, right? 1066, right? That's the big date. Well, adding 1,000 years in, that coincides with the Bible and the Christians and the ending of Jerusalem, the Third Temple, and all this stuff. Did that happen? Is that what the Crusades really were? This is something I've been looking into the past couple of years. Was that what happened? Because like, it also doesn't make sense that they would wait 1,000 years later or 2,000 years later or something to do it. You would think that something happened and they would do it right there and then, you know. You know a famous guy, probably Lord Jamar. You probably heard of Lord Jamar.
Yeah, of course, man. Brand Nubian.
I was having
legend.
We had a phone call, me, him, and his brother a couple months ago, and I was bringing this stuff up, you know, and you know,
he wasn't having it.
You know, he was. It's probably hard for him, you know, and a lot of people, but you know.
What do you mean?
Well, because you know, everybody's been programmed, just like it is hard for people to think they're not on a ball. You know, your whole life you've been programmed, and the whole stuff with slavery and a whole bunch. You know, he thinks Europe, he thinks, you know, white man or something. You know. And I'm like, man, Lord Jamar, I'm telling you, I could show you paintings from 400 years ago, and there's black guys in Crusader outfits, the Red Cross on these black powerful guys. You know, there's, you know, you got to stop thinking that it's like some white European, you know, and just, you know, start thinking about this. And then he brought it up. He was like, yeah, you got a good point. He was like, that's like, you know, right at the time was the Floyd thing in America, right? The George Floyd, the cops killing him. And he was like, yeah, that's like us waiting 1,000 years from now to get mad and revolt, you know? And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? Wouldn't you guys like right then and there you know, like Rodney King back in the day. They didn't wait 1,000 years to say, oh, now we're going to get revenge for what you did, you know, 1,000 years ago. No, it happened right then and there. And that's why I think that the 1,000 years that they added in has thrown off a lot of people. And people aren't able to put this together. But I think the Crusades wasn't 1,000 years later, right? They teach us 1,000 years of darkness. The Dark Ages, Vinny. For 1,000 years, nothing happened. Right?
Yeah, they say people were illiterate. They forgot how to read and write, and nothing.
Yeah,
happened.
The Romans were building coliseums and aqueducts and all this beautiful stuff, and they had all this stuff. China building the Great Wall and all this stuff, and then nobody did anything for 1,000 years. You know, and then all of a sudden, you know, 1492, everything, you know, starts back up again. I don't buy any of this, you know.
Wow. Yo, Vinny, man, he's getting in, boy. He's getting in. Jeez.
I was trying to think of a lot of topics because I love the name of your show.
Stuff you might not never know nothing about.
My daughter might hear.
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm going to make sure as well.
Never know nothing about.
Yeah. Nah, I appreciate it, bro. We appreciate you giving us the time as well, bro, because serious, there's a lot. There's so many things, like you're saying. Jeez. Yep. Told you, mother lovers, boy. This is show 50 right here, so we got to go in. You know what I mean? That's Vinny B right there. We'll just take a little break. Give a shout out to the people locked in. Shout to the common senses. We know, you know we love you, mother lovers, man. Shout to Robbie Love. So, like, all right.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
Something he said. Don't run BT yet, mate. Jesus Christ. Oh, cool,
I can't find the bloody pause button.
Okay, so what you're saying is to round
we'll
get the volume button first, at least. Jesus Christ. I tell ya. You know what I mean? We're still tinkering. Still tinkering out there. I'm trying to get my rolling rap voice right. Still tinkering out there. Yeah.
That's good now.
Shout to DJ Pro Tracks. He said this is proper deep. Shout to BLA. They've even changed the name from Yeshua, so I've heard, and used Caesar bourgeois image. I think he might mention something about that.
Yeah, the Borgias, is that what
the Borgias? Yeah, that's it, the Borgias, yeah. Facts, they hijacked the whole thing, story of Jesus, etc. All that, that's all they really know how to do. Big up to your more. Big up to Mr. Green. Welcome back, bruv. Good to see you, man. Yeah, this is a pre-record that we're showing. Bruv, 50 shows, man. This is number 50 now, you know. Yeah, we ain't seen you in a minute, but we be going in. We be going in, having fun with it, you know what I mean? But yeah, good to see you back, man. Definitely, bruv. Good energy. Shout out to your more. Yeah, and big up all the crew locked in, man. We appreciate you lot. We have to remind you that you are locked into something you might never know nothing about. Right here, myself, MysDiggi, alongside Dan DNA. Shout to Gleam in the building. And what we got to do before we go back into the next, you know what I mean? We get a little roll call. Let's see what you lot are blazing out there. Let me get a roll call in there. I'm in the...
something he said and I'm thinking about.
Sorry.
Yeah, just do the volume. So
yeah, that's what I'm just trying to do. There you go. Yeah. I just need to set it up.
That's all good. Yeah, that's all good. We got time, man. Yeah, roll call. Let's get a roll call in. You know what I mean? I'm on the Moroccan Pollen, some Black Lime Reserve. You know what I mean? Got a couple vapes. I got some Gorilla Glue vape, and then Funk number 1. You know the rule, but I don't put it out there too much. You know what I mean? The Funk number 1.
What is that? Is that a vintage?
Yeah, that's like, it's meant to be the original funk strain.
All right.
Yeah, SK. You know what I mean? Shout out to Oshi in the building. What's going on, Sailor? What did they say, Skipper? Aye, Skipper. Yes, man, he's saying, how's it going? And yeah, big up to you guys. Big up, hitting the big 50. Yeah, man, big 50, bruv. It's crazy, boy. We got there, man. Do you know what I mean?
Flies.
Yeah. Ooh, Tubbs is on the Sherbalato. Jeez, Protrax is talking about Granddaddy Purps. Yeah, I ain't had that in a minute. Granddaddy Purple. Gleam's on the ammo. Ammo, boy, it's dangerous straight. That shit could get you wired, boy. The Ami is just like, yo, man's wired. You know what I mean? The Silver Haze, like, wired. Like, you good. You see, 1 minute you see your brethren, he's like, yeah, you good. Right, do you want a bill of Zook? Yeah, what is it? Silver Haze. Yeah, cool, man. All right, then cool. Like, What? Give him like 10 minutes after he plays it. Then you see him like that. Yo, boy, brother, Silver Haze, like, yo. It's like you had a coffee or something, boy. Get you wired. What else? Tropical Smash. Tubbs is on the Tropical Smash as well. Chevlato, 2 types of Moroccan. Diamonds and sauce. Rosin, 2 types. Oh, what? All through the bong later. You going in. I'm coming to check you, bruv. Nah, I checked it. Your boy is saying something green, sticky and strong in the bong. Yeah, forgot to ask. Wow. You just go in. I say, I get to, right, what is it? What, do you know if it's, you know what I mean? Like, who grew it? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You just, you know what I mean? You want to know what it is, man. It's just like your food. Just like all the products you consume. I believe you should know where, you know what I mean, and try and keep them as natural as possible. That's all it is, man. You feel good. Oh shit, BLA said nothing. His mate let him down. Maybe tomorrow I can blaze. Oh man, sorry, bro, man. Let me hit the vape for you on that one because that's messed up. You know, this is the best I can do. Like, if I could pass it, I would. We've got Zeus, whatever, man. You could bill it. Yeah. But tomorrow's another day. Shout out to the cmossboss.co.uk, mother lovers. You got to hit them up if you want to get quality sea vegetables. When I'm talking about quality, I'm not lying because, boy, I've been on them for the last at least 6-something months now and definitely seen a change. The whole family's on it. You know what I mean? We get sea moss. We got the dose, which is high in B vitamins, like a whole bunch of different B vitamins. Sea moss has something like, I think, is it 92 of the 108 minerals, you know, vitamins and minerals that your body needs. You know, so it's like potent stuff. They've got like high quality spirulina. Also things like wakame. I had some wakame today, banging. You know what I mean? Just let that soak in some distilled water or spring water or whatever you got. After about like 15 minutes or something like that, bam, you can fling in your little spices just to, you know what I mean, and go in. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different products. They've also got Bladderwrack, which is really good for your thyroids and glands and whatnot. Help you to secrete, you know, hey, I can't wait, man. But yeah, we'll get into all of that, man, how your body works, and you know, but it does really help with digestion, skin, your nails, your hair, so many different things these sea vegetables can help with that I think people will definitely benefit from. So do a bit more research on them, obviously, to find out what. But I found out that, and shout out to Rain and Richie, they told me about like how the stuff is cultivated and how it's, you know, wildcrafted. It's actually somebody that really cares about this stuff, and they've been doing it for a long time. You know, like over 30 years or something like that. So this is why the products are so good.
I wouldn't have expected anything less, really, from them, you know, from them guys, because they seem like they really are into
what they do, yeah, for sure.
What they do, and also like clean living and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure, man.
You'd expect they would source it from somewhere, and they also know all the drawbacks and all of the reasons why you wouldn't get it from somewhere else. I'm sure that's like 20 years of knowledge that you've saved by going to them, because they've gone through the heartache of like, oh right, oh this is not really properly farmed, oh this is farmed one, or this one's not really clean, or you know, so they've sort of ironed out all the creases, and now all you've got to do is pay them a little bit of money to get that. Yeah,
and there's so many people that I speak to about sea moss and all that, and everybody more or less goes through the same thing, where you hear about that it's good. Years ago you heard that it's good, and then you go and buy the whatever stuff from in some crispy packet, you know, in the corner shop or whatever, that you're thinking, oh right, sea moss, okay, yeah, bam, you do whatever with that, boil it up and make it, and you're like, oh, I don't really, and it's true, because that's not the quality stuff, you know, that's not wildcrafted, it's not organic. You know, what I heard from shout out to DJ Snuff, one of his guys, Enki, Dr. Enki, was talking about how they, you know, because sea moss just went in, it blew up and everyone was into it, that people was just picking it up off, you know, like there's seaweed that will wash up on the streets in certain Caribbean countries and that. And so they would just pick that up, wash it off, and then sell it as sea moss. Yeah, this is sea moss. So people are buying stuff that ain't even the real thing. You know, there's a Latin term for it, ironically, Latin term, conscious crispus. That's the version of sea moss that you should get, which is actually Irish moss. And so this is sourced from Ireland.
It's big it's big in the West Indies as a separate food source, and as the carrageenan gum comes from it and all that stuff. I think they use it for like what is it you use for bovine to thicken stuff up?
Collagen.
Yeah, like, so they use it as a replacement for.
Yeah, it's good for making cakes and
gelatin.
All that. Yeah, gelatin. Yeah. You can use it for making cakes and whatnot.
I think even in Sainsbury's they've done like a sea moss, like Jamaican sea moss drink.
Right.
It's because in their section where they, I just walk past and have a look.
Right.
See what they've got there.
That's how you know they're watching my jugglings now. Before it's like I'm getting people to watch their jugglings. Now they're watching my jugglings. Like, right, if you don't want to link up, you know what I mean? They'll try and link you up with the sea moss boss. Yeah, man. So off the coast of Donegal, wild Atlantic seas. So, there's none of that like pollution or whatever there, because the seas are making sure that the place stays clean as a mother lover. Widely used before to sustain the lives of thousands of Irish people before during times of famine, which, is very interesting with what Vinny B was talking about. Like, even reading that now, my mind's like, oh, right. So, and then Irish moss is a massive thing in the West Indies. There's some kind of link there, right? So during times of famine, it was because of the amount of minerals and vitamins that most contained, helped to not only overcome, but also to thrive in such harsh conditions. So yeah, listen to that, man. So you do a bit more research on it. Bunch of different sea vegetables. I mentioned this dulse and whatnot, but there's sea spaghetti. There's also some new, they've actually got some new bits like the sea salt and kelp seasoning, which really works. I think, people will definitely get into that. And then they have gels as well that you can buy. So pre-made sea moss gels. And if you get to that website and do make a purchase, make sure before you hit the pay button, you go to the code button or code section and type in about 20.
It'll be on the it's on the checkout. So it says like coupon code or whatever it is, or like discount codes or something. Yeah. So just stick it in there. Yes,
type in about 20 uppercase and you will get yourself 20% off any order from the seamossboss.co.uk. Mother lovers.
Decent.
That's how we do right here with some shit you might never know nothing about. So hope you lot got your zoots built. We're going to go into part 2 with our brother Vinny B from the Bronx. Big up to Regantology just landed. That's crazy. Yeah, man. Hope you lot have been enjoying. It looks like people have been, and you know how it is here, man. We always want to give you some stuff you might never know nothing about. Let's get back into this. All right. Run VT. So, like, all right, there was something you said, and I was thinking about. So we mentioned the Bible. So, so what you're saying is, to round up what you're saying is that you feel like because they're going so much against it, there must be some truth to it, yeah? There must be some reality to it.
I mean,
then why it's still out? Like, this is the other thing as well. I wonder, like, how comes they're allowing it to be out then? How comes we can get the book and read it? If it's
okay, good question. Also, that reminds me I should bring up that the original King James Bible, there were more books that he had in that. I deal with a lot of Christians who hate King James. There's a lot of Christians who, King James is this and that, and he took books out of the Bible. King James didn't take books out of the Bible. After he died a few years later, the Protestants and the Catholic Church took out the book of Enoch, took out the Apocrypha, which to me, these are some of the most powerful books, especially for flat earthers.
The Jubilees as well.
So, they started taking things out. Most Christians, well, I should call them Catholics, most Catholics, they're not even like true believers. They just show up to church on Sunday and they let the church tell them something, and they just go home and they said, I did good. I went to church, and they're not like being taught really the Bible, they're doing rituals, and they're also being fed new lies. Like one I'll bring up is the Jesuits, again, late 1800s. The Jesuits put in this pre-rapture talk. So now you got all these Catholics and people who talk about the Bible, and they believe that, you know, in pre-rapture. But there's no way that's not what's in the Bible. You know what I mean? That's something that the church just recently made up and has convinced everyone to believe in. You know, so
what's pre-rapture,
you know,
meant to be? Right.
Well, like
pre-game type
people, the original story is that when all this horrible stuff starts happening, right before the end, and Jesus comes back, they think that they're going to be like raptured out of here. Like I think of that movie, that comedy movie years ago, This Is the End. Remember that comedy?
Yeah,
Seth Rogen and those guys. Yeah. And the blue light comes and they all start getting sucked out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's a new thing, you know, that's not in the Bible, but most people believe that. Most Catholics and Christians you meet, they celebrate Christmas, right? And act like that Jesus' birthday. But yet the Bible, literally in the Bible, it tells you that's what the pagans do. That has nothing to do with Jesus. You know what I mean? That's the Catholic Church, who are sun worshipers, who worship that son who's born on December 25th and dies 3 days later and all that. They've changed Christianity into their pagan belief, you know, the mystery schools of Babylon, as Bill Cooper called it, and I think the best term for it. You know, that's what all these secret societies are into. You know, people talk about, oh, they're into the Jewish stuff. That's the Jewish magic. It goes again back to Babylon and this and that.
So it's like the priest class.
Yeah, so it's not like they want to be Jews. They want the magic that the Jews were told not to use. You know what I mean? Like they want the magic that Solomon didn't want them, that was like getting rid of, you know, and didn't want them to get involved in black magic and this stuff. But these people are all into it, you know, and that's what the church and these people are really about. It has nothing to do with Jesus. You know, they worship the, you know, Isis, Horus, Zeus, whatever you want to call them. I like to just call him Zeus because, you know, most of us were taught Greek mythology. A lot of the words they say, even when they talk about Jesus, it almost sounds like Zeus. A lot of different languages.
Hey,
God
Zeus.
is almost like the word Zeus. Yeah, Jesus. I remember talking to an Albanian guy one day. He's like, Vinny, you know how we say God in Albanian is Zeus? I'm like,
oh, wow.
Zeus. Yeah, I get it, you know? Yeah. Wow. I pointed out in the Bible, Jesus, in one of the things he says, the devil sits at the temple of Pergamon. Well, the temple of Pergamon's still standing. And if you look, it's Zeus sitting in the temple.
What?
You know, so even Jesus in the Bible says the devil is Zeus. You know.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. I know. It's some crazy stuff I get into.
So, have you heard about like the Bible being like about 4 or 5 different stories all layered and kind of happening at once? So you can read it on different levels, like to do with law, to do with seasons, to do with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going with for a long time when I did not want to believe in it, you know. I was all about that stuff. I'd find any reason to be like, oh, it's just, you know, he's the son, December 25th, the son's born, and, you know, and this and that. But again, there's too much evidence that I see all around the world that something happened a while ago to where the whole world turned Christian. Whether people want to accept it or not, whether it was always evil or whether it was good from the start or evil, whatever happened, the whole world turned Christian. And now recently, with all this evil going about, is through the Catholic Church, which again, you know, it's not Muslims, it's not Jews, it's not Buddhists, it's the Catholic Church going around in the name of Jesus. And to me, you know, it kind of makes sense, to me at least, you know. And so I'm about 10 years now that I say I was born again. Actually, I'll tell you the story. You'll like this because I was smoking a bowl of weed in the middle of the woods, right? And I'm sitting there and I was already like a flat earther. Like I came out and was telling people like the earth's flat. I don't believe anything, NASA, this and that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at the moon. And you know, Dave was trying to bring up this point about the moon too. To me, every single person could go outside and just look up and see the moon and it could prove to you that you've been lied to and the moon is a hologram.
The moon
So
is a
I'm sitting
hologram.
there. Yeah, it's a hologram. Yeah. Because it's see-through. Dave was touching on it where he was showing you one of the pictures, but he showed you a full moon and he was showing how the dots are like a little bit light in the day and at night they're dark. But the best one to me is a quarter moon or a half a moon. You literally just see the blue sky. You don't see a solid object. You know, a solid object you'd have to see. Whether it's in the shade, you would see blackness. But you literally see through and see blue sky. So to me, it's obviously it's a hologram. So I'm sitting there smoking a bowl one day and I'm just staring there up at the moon. And I'm like begging God. I'm like, God, what is it? Like, who's the truth? Like, is it Jesus? Is it Jesus? Like, you know? And I'm sitting there and I'm smoking a bowl and I'm looking at the moon and it just all like hit me. And I'm like, yeah, like that's like this whole world is a lie, you know? And earlier that day, someone gave me a Bible. First time I ever had the Bible. And it was someone earlier that day gives me a Bible. And I'm sitting there and I look down and I look at the Bible and I'm like, man, I don't even want to open this thing, you know? And then also I'm like, all right, fine, I'll open it. And I open it and right away, it was like the first words just hit me. And he was like, they're going to hate you like they hated me. You're going to be persecuted for the truth. The world is this and that. And the world's and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, and I look back up at the moon and I'm just like, I asked, and this is what you're saying, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna doubt no more. And that's when I was like, openly after that, like the earth's flat. I don't care. Laugh at me, whatever you want. I don't doubt it no more. You know, this whole world is a lie. You know, I don't believe anything we were told, and I just started over. And again, to me, Christ isn't religion. He even says it himself to the disciples and other people. Christ is a way of life, you know, to me. It's he even talks about a renewing of the mind where, you know, so again, a Christian isn't someone who just blindly listens to experts telling them what to believe. He's saying for you every single day to go and test things for yourself. Well, isn't that what we are, us truth is? What you guys are doing on your show? I mean, it all started changing, you know, to me. I stopped looking at Jesus as Jezere Borgia, this white image of this weak guy who got beat up by the church, and it all just started changing, and he became like the hero for me. You know, it was no longer this soft, weak guy who got beat down 2,000 years ago. Everybody's still waiting for, and all this stuff. You know, before that, my heroes were like William Cooper or, you know, William Wallace or, you know, Spartacus, you know, something like that, you know, and all of a sudden I started to realize like, whoa, this guy is the man. Like
he's a true rebel.
He went into the churches. That would be the equivalent of us like going into like the you know, the International Monetary Fund Bank or the World Bank or Rothschild's place, start flipping tables, whipping them. Like that's literally what he did. You know, he wasn't some soft guy. You know, they try to make him now like he's like this hippie, soft white guy. You know, but he was really a revolutionary, and he was you know, I got to say it, a badass. He really was a badass, and it all started changing, and I started saying, you know, I want to be like that. You know, and to me, he is the God of love. I love how I met so many women, especially the women. They're all into the new age stuff, you know, astrology and zodiacs, new age. I'm into the God of love. I'm like, well, so am I. Jesus is the epitome. Like everything about him is about love. Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's 90% love, 10% extreme violence. Yeah. That's the good. It's a good way of being. You know what I mean? He's all love, but when it comes to turning the tables, fashioning a whip, and being a flaming sword, you know, he's all those things as well. But not all the time. You know, that's his. That's his sort of like his side that he has to go to.
He to me, he's the God of love and forgiveness, and that's the God that, you know, I'm about. You know, it all started making sense too with when I started reading it for myself. You know, it was like we're all imperfect. You know, nobody's perfect. That's why I'm sorry to pick on Bro Sanchez and some people, but like I call them new ages. To me, to think that just by acquiring knowledge or being what you consider smarter than others or this and that somehow makes you better than people, I think that's laughable. And I think if you think the creator who created everything is concerned about how smart you are, I think you're, mistaken. I don't think that qualifies how great of a person you are. I think what qualifies you is how much love you have, how much compassion you have for your fellow man, for your neighbor, how much help and stuff you do. To me, that shows more of you being a bigger person, a special person. It's easy to have the big ego and pride. It's easy to want revenge. I mean, I'm Vinny from the Bronx. I grew up like that was our thing. You disrespect me. Vendettas come from the Italian mafia and the Medici and these people. We're the first ones, like the macho thing that we were taught.
Hey, come
My
on,
first instinct is to want to punch someone. That's what we were taught. So it was big change for me, to go from that to then say, no, I want to be humble. That's probably why you see, like, I don't talk a lot, or I'm the least, the last person to jump in and try to get my word out there. Because to me, it's all not about me. I want to be the humble servant, to me, it ain't about the glory, getting glory from man. I want glory from God. That's how I feel, And to me, again, to quote Bill Cooper said something that stuck with me, and I stuck with it, which was, no matter what, I'm never going to be able to prove Jesus was real, dig up his body and show you his body, but out of all the things I've ever read, this makes the most sense to me, and I can't find nothing wrong with Jesus' teachings, and he is the God of love to me. And on the flip side, you actually you were alluding to it with the elite believe in the Bible and stuff. And like Cooper said, whether we believe in the Bible or not, the elite do, and they're following a script. So they're going to make all these things happen. So whether it's even real or not shouldn't even be a point to most people, because they're going to make it happen. They're going to build the third temple. They're going to do all this stuff that is in the Bible. They're using a playbook. So whether it's real or not, you're still going to have to deal with it. So, I'll feel that from Cooper too. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's deep. It's very true.
If I'm wrong, well, at least I was a good person who tried to help and showed love for my neighbors. And I'm fine with that, So
yeah, good for you.
Is there stuff that you ever look into and you're like, wow, okay, yeah, this ain't, like, you find out that it's not real, like, and you accept that it's not real. You're like, okay, I got a bit carried away with that one.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm still a lot of stuff with the Bible and Christianity, a lot of that with that. I'm like, am I wrong? Am I dead wrong? Am I like making an idiot out of myself? What I'm saying, am I doing more harm than good with asking, I get that a lot with the Bible and Christianity. Probably because that is the biggest thing, to me. It's the biggest thing for most of the world, like I said, and there's so many people that are better at it, that have, been studying the Bible their whole life. I'm more new at it, so I don't feel that confidence, where I could and things like that. But to go against these people who studied the Bible for 20 years, sometimes I'm like, I'm more the student, still having a lot to learn,
How do you know who to trust when learning from, when you're doing investigating?
I look at it as the first thing, like, even if we just use, Sun Tzu's Art of War, or basic military stuff, is you got to know who the enemy is, right? I mean, the first thing is identify who, who's my opponent, who's the adversary, who am I going up against, who's my enemy. And to me, I spent years listening to people say the Jews, or just a vague term, the Illuminati, bloodlines, and this and that. And like I said, I went and did my own research, and to me, it seems like there's definitely bloodlines that are involved, but it seems like more like bloodlines from the church, and the church dictates these bloodlines. you know. So to me, I figured out that again, the Jesuits and the Catholic Church are the Illuminati and evil ruling. So to me, it was real simple to say whatever they're saying, it's probably the opposite of that. And I just starting off with that, you know. They're like, the sun's really far away. I'm like, the sun's really close then. You know, we've been here a really long time. I'm like, and we've been here a short time. You know? We were taking blacks out of Africa to America. Well, then we were probably taking blacks out of America and bringing them to Africa. Like, I literally think of that, you know, like that's basically how it started with me.
It's crazy, bro. Yeah.
I mean, black, then they're probably white.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it sounds funny, but there are stories. There's like cases that can be made to say that it's actually happened or it's true. You know what I mean? But it's just obviously hard for us to get to that point where we know we're like, okay, I know for sure. All we can do is believe. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Same thing with Flat Earth, right? With the Dave stuff. I mean, Dave does a great job. He's got the green screen. He's got the answers. He does it every day, you know. But, you know, again, nobody's being taken and flown up in a spaceship to look down for themselves to say, okay, that's what it is. You know, so you could have Dave on, you know, once a month for years, and the debate will probably still be going on because, you know, how much evidence do people need? You know, at some point it comes down to faith, you know, just like Christianity or anything. Well, you know,
I saw that. Did you see the debate with him and Dave and what's the guy? Is it Dave the Professor? Or Professor Dave? Yeah, what's up with that guy, Dave? Professor Dave?
Oh man, see, I try not to be like a lot of conspiracy people who right away assume that someone's an agent or they're a shill. I like to say that in my experience, most people are just useful idiots, or they don't know what they're doing. You know, most people, like, you know, like my dad walks around with a NASA t-shirt on. Is he like, you know, some CIA agent spreading propaganda? You know, no, he really believes it. I can't get him to not believe it, you know. It is what it is, you know. Professor Dave, is he an agent? I don't know, you know. He could just be some guy who doesn't want to accept it. You know. So I try to stick with that most of the time. I try not to, you know, just make claims that someone's an agent or this and that. You know.
I hear that. It was interesting. I saw it and I was like, wow, this is. It felt like he was being ganged up on anyway. But
definitely, you know. But that's what happens, you know. They think it's so crazy, you know. We've all been shown a globe. Even the cartoons, everything is telling you're on this spinning water ball. You know, flying around in the vast, you know, universe, expanding, and all this nonsense. And until you question it for yourself, you know, it's just, you know, we just regurgitate what we were told. Oh, I don't feel anything because of gravity. You know, yeah, we're spinning, we're flying, but you still see the same image of the moon all the time. Well, that's because the moon is spinning at just the right, you know, speed to where you never see it change. You know, and we just say, okay, you know, that's what it is. You know, but until at some point, you know, you start saying, hey, you know, I was lied to, and let me put on my common sense. You know, let me start thinking for myself. You know, again, you might not have the physical evidence, you know, just like I don't for a lot of issues. But you start finding out who the liars are. You start looking at the people that are getting murdered for what they're saying, you know, and you start seeing, you know, who's telling the truth, who's not, what's the agenda, you know. Like a big one I gotta bring up to you guys, stick with it, is that there's gonna be this fake alien thing, man. They have been promoting this stuff for a while. I have a theory, me and my friend Matt, we think that they're gonna be saying it's from Antarctica. I think they might have this like fake war with aliens coming from Antarctica. They're gonna do something. They're also gonna try to push this AI system that's gonna be like, because I point that out too, even children's cartoons and this and that. I don't know if you've watched any, you know, with your child only being 2, but some of the older ones, you know, they're all talking about eventually the machines are going to take over, you know. And I remember even as Terminator as a child, you know, the big movie Terminator, and you know, this
Matrix,
idea has been there for a while. Yeah. You know, so yeah, right. Matrix, the third one was all about the AI and the robots taking over. So to me, it seems like that's what they're doing. Stuff you might not never know
nothing
about. Have you guys heard about the new thing in Saudi Arabia?
What's that?
They're building the biggest structure ever being built is going on right now in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if many people heard about this. So to me, this ties in also for you who might not have known about this. They're building this giant, it's going to be the biggest structure in the world in Saudi Arabia, which ties into, do you remember that robot years ago, Sophia?
Yeah. Given the first citizenship of a
citizen of?
Yeah.
Do you remember when
Saudi
they made
Arabia.
her a citizen of what country? Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Right. That's right, brother. So Saudi Arabia, where they're building this thing, this is going to be like the new, and I'm trying to remember, they had a name for it too. The Muslims had a name for it, which was literally like, you know, the Temple of the Demons or something like that. Like Dajjal, you know, Temple of
the Jinn or something.
Yeah. And so, you know, they're building this demonic, huge structure, and it's going to tie in with what's going on with the COVID, the AI, and all this stuff. They're making these, they're called smart growth cities. And everything is like in them. I was pointing out years ago, my dad still works in Manhattan. He does like HVAC work, you know, air conditioning, heating, refrigeration. And, you know, there's all the big buildings still going on, being built in Manhattan. And I'm starting to talk to him, and he's like, man, Vinny, you know, they're building these giant buildings that nobody could afford to live in. Nobody's moving in, you know, so they're building these giant structures. And he's like, and they got like pools in them. They got grocery stores built in them, gyms built in them. And so you don't even have to leave the apartment building. And I was like, wow. I was like, you don't get what's going on. This is that stuff I'm talking about. They're building these smart growth cities. What they want to do is eventually get everyone who's like out in the country and living like outside of the cities. They're destroying that. The economies and all this stuff, the food production, this and that. And they're going to shove everybody into smart growth cities. That's what I believe. I think there's a lot of evidence for this. And now this new thing going on in Saudi Arabia, I think is going to be like, you know, and I think they have it set for 2025 or 2030 for it to be finished. Which I've been saying for a long time. I thought 2025 was actually the year, because the Illuminati back in the 50s and 60s were literally back then saying the New World Order will be in effect by the year 2025. So one of the theories with that is the original Agenda 21. They thought that they were already going to have their New World Order years ago, but things exploded down. So then they changed it now to this, you know, Agenda 2030. So people think it's, you know, 30. I still think it's 25 they're pushing for, but, you know, there's not much more time before these people want to have their one world government in full effect. Like, no more conspiracy theories or us talking about it. This is what it is. You know, there's no more America, no more Russia. It's going to be, and again, who's going to be the leader? The Pope. That's why the Pope is going around. The other week, he was in Canada apologizing for all the sins the church did to the natives in Canada. He was meeting with Muslims the other week. He's meeting with all the leaders all over to show you like this awesome, really cool Pope who's really cool. He's about the environment. He's about Buddhist. He's about homosexual rights. He's the greatest guy ever, right? So he's going to be the one who's going to be the one world religion. It's not going to be some Muslim or some Jew or some Buddhist in the temple. It's going to be the Catholic Church and the Pope who's going to step up and say that he's basically the ruler of the one world religion. That's what I believe is coming.
All right, and they'll use and then they'll possibly use the alien agenda to be able to just sort of solidify the world against the threat, so that it becomes The Pope will be the one who lasers the aliens with his stick.
Yeah, with his scepter.
Yeah.
He'll be the one dealing with the alien.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be.
No, it'd be their friend. Yeah, we'll go and wash their feet.
Yeah.
Kiss the tarmac they land on.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
That's what I think's coming. And again, it points out that who's the church? The church is the ones involved with all the telescopes and all the stuff. They're the ones behind the stuff. The Pope, years ago, he made a comment. We were all laughing at him. He was like, they made it was titled like, the Pope says he'll baptize an alien.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's their way of making, like, he's this cool Pope, you know, look how cool he is, you know.
Yeah.
He baptized an alien and you know, but there's an agenda behind it that people don't realize, you know, that he's going to be making deals with the alien.
Yeah, it sounds all inclusive, innit? It sounds, I'd baptize an alien, man. What do you mean, man?
I'll baptize anything.
Oh, you know,
baptize a cat, baptize
an
elephant, an alien, anything.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot. And like
heavy.
I was telling you, I got a lot of connections, a lot of great people, like Kamiru, like you were talking about Kamiru. I mean, that guy, you know, a lot of these guys, a lot of the big shows on Killer Priest the past year have been the people that I've been bringing on. I know in a month I got David Icke coming on in a month. David Icke I got coming on in September.
Wow. That would be crazy.
I got Richard Gage Monday, Dr. Jason Wednesday for Killer.
Wow.
So, you know.
Wow. So you're really connected with a lot of people, man, in this truther world. Like,
yeah, you know, that's what I told Killer about from the beginning, and now killing them, you know, they're like, that's why you see them, like even a couple, the last show was like maybe a month ago I did with them. And all the guys are like, you know, Vinny, you're the man. Thank you, Vinny, you know, and great job doing all this.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's what I try to do. Like I said to you, I don't even want credit. I don't, you know, I try to be a humble servant, and I just want to help. You know, I want to help you. I want to help Killer. I want to help Johnny. You know, is his name Dan?
Yeah, that's Dan DNA.
Dan, yeah.
Dan DNA.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I just want to help good people. You know, and I want to be in the game. That's what it was like years ago. It was like I spent like 10 years as researching Cooper and all these people and researching, and then it was like I want to be in it though. Like I want to be a part of it, you know. I just jumped in, you know, and here it is over 10 years later. You know, I've made a lot of connections, a lot of friendships. You know, they trust me, and I trust them, and so,
you're open-minded. So then you know you're not going to eventually. You're not going to stab them in the back because you're looking for truth. So you know. It's very rare, really. And in the whole sort of scene, it's rare to find people that actually are just open-minded. That's it. Without some other agenda that they're sort of pushing, or a load of shit they're just getting, you know, like, oh, I don't want to look at that. Because I don't really want to. That's going to make me question too much. I'll stick to this thing.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Really tricky.
I told Killer once, I said, Killer, you know, YouTube is just like, you know, Hollywood. I mean, the more subscribers and the bigger they are, the bigger the ego a lot of times, you know. It's no different than Hollywood, Killer. You know. But doing whatever I can to help out. You know, if you ever want to try to need some help or want to get a guest or someone I know.
Oh man, that would be crazy, bro. Yeah, we wouldn't say no. Trust that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like our listeners, definitely, we call them the comment sensors, like the people in the comment section. And a lot of them are always dropping little bits of knowledge as well. So it's a very open-minded crew, because that was the idea, like I said to you, you know, as soon as this whole thing started sprouting about, a few of us kind of realized, like, even for the two of us, we're in the studio, but it came to a lockdown. And so we hadn't seen each other for about 4 or 5 months or something like that. But we've both gone down our separate rabbit holes and kind of come to that conclusion, like, oh, this makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we came and met up with each other at the studio after about 4 months, and then I think literally straight away was saying, yeah, what about this COVID thing then? And then you was like, nah, it's bullshit. And I was like, yeah, I know. So you know, and we'd both just done our own lines of research. It weren't even, we hadn't communicated, you know, we'd isolated from each other's ideas and both come to the same thing about it.
And then, and realize
different directions and everything.
How many other people had that happen to as well? Especially within our scene. Like, I know you're a hip hop head, you know what I mean? Obviously linking up with Killer and whatnot. And so the music we've been brought up on, that's why it's beautiful to see people like Lord Jamal, you know, and a few others kind of speaking out, but not as many as you'd have thought, like not as many as we'd have thought at all. But we felt like within our community, there must be people that are like, okay, we get it, it's bullshit, man. Let's, you know, but they're not getting to speak to anybody because you see what it's like. The people around you, your family, they're all just like, yeah, he's smoking that stuff, and he's a bit crazy. Do you know what I mean? And so, the idea was like, okay, we let's kind of get the community knowing, like, look, don't worry, you're not going crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're here with you. Like, we can all chat online at least. You know what I mean? Even if we can't link up, the clubs are closed or whatever, bars are closed. And so from there, it just happened, and then started getting to speak to different people. But by all means, man, if there's any, because especially like Dawn and is it Dawn and David?
Yeah.
Yeah, people like that.
Have you done a show with them?
Amanda.
Have you done one?
No. But it's like speaking, you know, I think those things are important because their health is sort of the main thing. Without that, what can you do? You know what I mean? If you're not looking after it, if you don't understand, the first thing I started saying to people, you know, when you first wake up to things, you're like, yo, you're trying to tell everybody. You do it's dumb. You shouldn't do that. You just got to let it happen when it happens. But I started saying to people, look, but do you know how your body even works? Do you know how your body works? You know, you don't even know, we don't even understand how our bodies really work. And people, they're just like, what the hell is he talking about? But you get what I'm saying? That's what you realize is like, right, I didn't even know that's what that means. I didn't realize that this is all the same thing as, you know, me just detoxing. That's what we should call it. I'm not getting sick. I'm actually getting better. You know what I mean? But we lost it all, and you start realizing like, wow, there's a whole different way you got to communicate this thing to people for them to understand, which is tricky, you know?
Yeah, that's why to me, that was the first show I did. Because to me, I agree with you. I said it to Killer multiple times in shows. I mean, without your health, nothing matters. Money doesn't matter if you're sick and dying. You'll be like, what does this money matter?
Exactly.
You know
exactly.
I mean? So, health is the most important. And obviously, for the past 2.5 years, there's this big pandemic going on. And you know, this is the biggest thing going on right now. So I agree with you, you know, and Dawn and David are great. They would come on your show, no problem, if you wanted.
That would be really good.
Man.
You know, and it's a great, it's like you said, probably the most important thing, you know, without getting into your soul and spiritual stuff.
Yeah,
right?
of course, materially,
but
in the material world, health is one of those things that everybody could do with understanding better. And
for sure, man. For sure, because you wake up to it like, you know, like we're saying, what we're going through now, you're not scared. What's making people do everything they're doing is the fear of, well, maybe something might happen. But once you understand, you're like, oh, what are you talking about, man? Yeah, I'm booking this flight. I'm going to, what, is it all right to go there? Yeah, I'm going there. You know what I mean? It's not all of this bullshit, but people, it's crazy that people don't even get to that point. You know, the people like, I don't believe it, but they're still like, yeah, but just in case, you know what I mean? I got my, what was it, the sanitizer? They're like, yeah, just, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's sad for me. I got, like I was telling you, I have my daughter here for this month, but she's raised by her mom, who's all about the fear. So like when my daughter first came here, like the first week or so, it was like, you know, if I touch something, she can't touch it, you know, like just this fear in my 9-year-old, you know, of germs and this and that, you know, and it's sad, you know. I talked about recently, I lost the court case. I was fighting in court. Obviously, everybody in the court, the judge, my lawyer, their lawyer, everybody was against me, you know, saying how COVID is fake and this and that. And
you had to go to court for that?
Yeah, my ex, you know, wanted to vaccinate my daughter. I didn't want to, so I tried to fight. Obviously, everything stacked against me. So my daughter was vaccinated, which is, you know, pretty upsetting to me. But you know, but to see the fear, like you said, you know, it's crazy, you know. see like how it's two different worlds going on. You know, I see people still driving around with their windows closed in their car wearing a mask, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is the world I'm living in. You know, it feels like that show you guys got, Black Mirrors or something. You know, like I'm just living Black Mirror's episode or something.
Yeah. How do you keep your sanity? How do you stay grounded? Do you meditate or?
Well, music. I'd say music helps a lot. I like to listen to music. You know, helps with my attitude. And to me, you know, it's going to Jesus. You know, helps a lot. Finding that love and compassion. You know, and it's funny because you'll talk to people who aren't Christian, or they'll talk about their atheist or this and that. And whenever something bad happens, that's the first thing they do. They all turn to it. They all cry out to God for help. They all start asking for Jesus or help. You know, it's you know. So I just don't pretend that I don't do that. I admit it. You know, he's like a crutch. You know, when things get tough, you know, I ask for help. You know, instead of pumping out my chest saying, I don't need help, I'm this big man. Or now I see the tons of women, you know, I don't need a man. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. You know, I have no problem saying I need a woman, I need Jesus, I need whatever help I could get. You know what I mean? I got no problem saying I'm not perfect and I need help, you know. Also, I think a lot of pressure, people are looking at this as like it's this physical fight we're gonna have, and then you got like the militia type of people who are like, you know, store up on your bullets and AK-47s, and it's like, you know what, man, like I ain't looking forward to that either. You know, and that kind of puts you in that paranoid, you know, fear vibe, which, you know, I don't think it's good or healthy for you. I'm not gonna live in fear, you know. I put my trust in God. I feel I'm a spiritual being, you know. The last show we talked about that, like race was being brought up. And I was like, man, we're not your skin color. You're not this and that. You're a spiritual being, you know. So I don't think I'm just this flesh, this, you know, my skin color or hair or something. I think I'm a spiritual being. And I don't think that it's, you know, YOLO, you only live once and this and that, you know. So no matter what happens here, you know, even if something horrible was to happen to my daughter, you know, how much that would kill me. That would hurt me more than anything in the world, you know, obviously. Just like I'm sure if something happened to your child. But at the end of the day, I still put my trust in God. And that's what gets me through, is knowing that this isn't it, you know, like she wouldn't be dead just rotting in the ground for worms. You know, that's not what I would believe. You know, just like I don't think that's what happened to my grandmother or what's going to happen to me, you know. That was part of like what Dave was bringing up too, like why lie about flat earth? I mean, that's part of it again, making us feel that you're insignificant, you know, while a lot of flat earthers all of a sudden are like, wow, you know, I'm the center of the show, you know, like, wow, this feels great, you know. It's again making you feel special.
Is that because the sun is now revolving around the earth in the flat earth model?
Yeah. They're not on some like random ball that could get hit by another ball and everything dies, or it gets too close to the sun and you burn up, and you know, there's all this other life that could be out there that's better than here. And for flat earthers,
so it's kind of like an undertone of, oh, this could all go in a second, you know, by saying that we're spinning, we're turning, we're hurtling, is kind of like giving you that in the background, as much as you're enjoying life, like, oh, this could all go in a second.
It's nihilistic.
Think about it. They're teaching you that whether it's, you know, they want to say 5 billion years from now or whatever number they want to use, they're still saying at some point everything gets closer to the sun and will be eaten by the sun, and this is how, you know, that feeds the sun, and it's all like, again, whether it's, you know, 8 billion years from now, this all goes away, or, you know, an asteroid's going to eventually hit us, or solar flare is going to do this and that. It's always
they have the same with like dinosaurs. You know, they push the dinosaur thing so hard. We've talked about this before, about how children's clothing and children's bottles, and they've all got dinosaurs on them because they're trying to push evolution at a very, very early age. The idea that the first thing was the dinosaurs, and then they were wiped out by something really catastrophic that they had no control over.
So something
Yeah,
that
So
big
it's just
and
all
that powerful.
catastrophe.
It,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
They can't prove it though,
No.
but it happened, man.
It's
But
the best guess
like
that
the
they can come up
Mythic
with.
now the kid is like, something that big and that powerful.
Yeah,
Just,
true.
You know, died and it's
Yeah.
gone now. You know, and then the other thing is
what
like,
chance have I got of surviving as a little tiny human?
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, if they died,
Yeah.
and then you know the other thing about then moving on to fossil fuel. Now you're like, oh, so yeah, one day it's gonna run out because there weren't that many dinosaurs. You know, carry on for how long? It's all like constant states of fear. Like they need us in, when we're like that, we're not focused on what really matters. You know what I mean? What really matters around us. It's all this whole hectic lifestyle
And scarcity.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that things are running out all the time.
Yeah,
And
you're scared that it's going to run out. Fear, man.
yeah.
Currency of control, innit? Yeah, man.
Yeah. I feel like the Jesuits perfected it, man. They've had enough time to perfect it. You know, they've had their experiments. They've had their 2 world wars. You know, and I feel like, you know, they're getting ready to. They're just doing the same script. I did a show 2 days ago with Fritz Sprigmeyer. That's the author of Illuminati Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Great guy. And he wanted to talk all about like Russia and the Ukraine stuff and the Great Reset. And he was bringing out the same point. He's like, it's the same playbook. They're literally like, Russia is like using the same playbook that Germany was being given and running. And even down to the fact, like the Germans, right? They were the Third Reich, and Putin and his book, they're talking about the third, the third something, and you know, about this right empire that's going to rule. Same thing the Germans were saying. You know, Russia being set up to be like the Nazis in World War II. Ukraine, you know, everything's about helping Ukraine. But again, none of these places are great. You know, nobody's like Ukraine's perfect or Russia, you know. We all got corruption. You know, if Putin's worried about Ukraine, why don't he worry about his own country, you know? Take care of your country first, you know? But this is just like everything else to get people to pick a side, whether, you know, left, right, black, white, Russia, Ukraine. But, you know, they've perfected all this stuff. And you know, the world's a stage to them, and they basically just are putting on a show, you know, and for everybody that doesn't know it, they're like hypnotized by the show, you know, and that's how I see it. It's more like hypnotized, you know, for most people. And,
Magic,
you know, we got to find a way to reach them for like that light bulb to go off, you know.
It feels like a few more people are kind of waking up. I mean, I don't know what it's like over for you there in New York, but here in the UK, it seems like people have sort of realized like, oh, wow, this ain't what, you know, it isn't what they made it out to be. That got me so scared. And they're kind of waking up, but they don't want to talk about it now because there's a bit of shame. You know, obviously.
Okay.
But, you know, but the thing is, we've all been fooled. Everyone's been fooled to some point where you just wake up and like, wow, okay, I get it now. But it feels like, there's a bit more waking up happening, but we'll see, man. You know, it takes time for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. And then the thing is, well, what about when you do wake up? But then where do you turn, right? And that's where, again, you know, I think faith and the spiritual side kicks in, you know, because just because you have all this knowledge, right, it could lead to people just being scared. You know how many people throughout the years I met when I started telling them the truth about something? They literally will say, I can't listen to this. This is scaring me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Grown men too that do that. Not just, you know, like some girl, like grown men, like I can't listen, you know, this is too much for me. You know? So, you know, it's hard finding a way to reach people, and we gotta
them estrogen levels,
you know,
man.
We can't just give the bad, like you guys were saying in other things. You know, we just don't want to preach all the bad news. We want to be able to also give the positive and you know,
exactly,
how to get
man. It's like once, and that's the thing. Like you said, once you wake up to it, what do you do? Now like it says in the Sun Tzu in Art of War, which I think is a Jesuit book, no?
Yep. Yeah, me and Johnny, we talk about that a lot. That was written by the Jesuits.
Yeah. And saying about knowing your ground. Where was I going with that? What was
you
we talking
going to
about?
go to knowing your
knowing
enemy
your
and the ground of your enemy, and
knowing your ground, knowing your enemy, knowing what type of weapons they're using, knowing everything, and then that way you can never navigate around that war, you know. And for a lot of people, like we keep trying to drill in their head, is like the main bit of fear is death. They're making you scared of dying. They're making you being scared. You're being scared of something that is inevitable to happen. It's going to happen one day. But somehow they got you so shook up that you're doing anything and everything. You're wearing, you know what I mean? Man are wearing face masks on their bum. You know what I mean? Like anything. And it's ridiculous, man. But once you wake up to that it helps. Like once you wake up to that knowledge, you realize, okay, now I know what to do. Oh, they're saying this, that means do this. You know, you can dodge, like I think Kurumaya says it, dodge a hijack. You dodge the hijack. Yeah. You know, you see where the lies are, you read it in between the lines, and life is a lot easier, I think. You know, there's times when you obviously, if you're looking into it heavy, it can get to you, and there's times where you got to ground yourself. You got, all right, let me just, because it can mess with your spirit. And then you got to connect again.
Dark sometimes. We're dealing with some dark, scary stuff, you know.
For real.
That's why I told you sometimes I like to just I'll just listen to music for a couple days, you know, just to get me into, you know, out of that anger or fear, you know, and get more into loving and calm. You know, smoke some weed, Bob Marley or something. You know?
And that's why people have always had faith as well, is because obviously death is like that last you know, everyone is concerned about dying, but to know that like it's not the end, you know, because that's what they're pushing, is just like that's it, it's just worm food after that, you know? So having that thing, it takes away like a whole load of worry and fear.
Yeah, I agree, you know, and that's why to me it is the spiritual battle, you know. To me, there's no militia. I've been talking to militia people for, I don't know, over 10 years, dealing with people that are all into, you know, stockpiling guns, and they think that they're going to have some revolution. To me, the only thing that's going to happen is the FBI is going to show up at your house and throw you in jail before you even do anything, because they're tracking everything. I pointed this out. This was about 10 years ago. There was 4 like senior citizens in Florida, like 60-something-year-old men. And they literally like were planning on like ricin and sending like poison to like television companies like Fox News and, you know, these big news agencies. And before they could do anything, the government swiped right in there, arrested all these guys before they could do anything. And I was like, that's just proving again, like they know, like they see what's going on. And anybody who thinks that they're going to like do something and like overthrow the government, you're just going to get arrested before you do anything. They're going to show up and say, yeah, we've been watching. We know what you've been planning. Now come off to jail with me. And nobody's going to help you. Your neighbor ain't going to help you. Your mom and dad ain't going to help you, because they're all scared of this big Roman Empire that has all the guns and power.
And the person who set up the operation in the first place was probably an FBI agent from the very beginning.
Yeah,
and they just ensnare other people into those things, and then mop up anybody who's got an inkling of rebellion in them.
Yep. I agree.
Roman Empire, boy. Jeez. Well, at least we know. What was you gonna say?
We pointed out all the similarities between America. Do you know that in the beginning they used to call it Little Rome on the Potomac River? It was literally called Little Rome, Washington D.C. in the beginning. And I pointed out for your audience stuff you might not know nothing about. The White House wasn't named for like white people or something like that. Like this is where white people are. The White House was after a guy named Andrew White, who was a Jesuit priest who gave all that to Washington D.C. and and America. So the Jesuits, it was Andrew White was his name. So that's why they called it White's House. His last name was White, Andrew White. He was a Jesuit priest. So the White House is named after a Jesuit priest who donated it to them. I mean, all of it is connected to the church, you know. 7 Hills,
Capitol Hill, innit? Capitol Hill.
Rome's found on 7 Hills,
Capitoline Hill, that's it. Capitoline Hill, is it?
Capitoline Hill, they call this Capitol Hill. Capitoline for the Romans. Yep, you're right.
And cap is actually quite an interesting word as well when you look at the etymology, like, to do with capital and kaput and, decapitating.
Capo.
Yeah, capo, things like that. You see that it links to some hardcore business, you know what I mean? Interesting as well as smart as well. We were talking about that last week, about the word smart, how it goes back to meaning to be in pain or to be painful. And now they got us all with smart meters, smart watches, smartphones, do you know what I mean?
Good point.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy world, boy. But yeah, man, definitely interesting. So Vinny, man, we got to do it again one time, for real, man. We appreciate you coming through. This is Vinny B from out of the Bronx, man. Some shit you might not never know nothing about. Myself, MysDiggi, Dan DNA.
Thank you, Vinny.
I'm glad you lot have tuned in to hear this, man, because this guy has a whole bunch of knowledge. Like, there's bits and bobs we didn't even get into fully as well, but definitely, man, we'd love to get you back on. And yeah, man, appreciate you coming through, brother. How can people get hold of you, man?
The best, like I do with Killer Priest, I leave my email, which is Vinny Vinny, and I've had emails and so many things hacked, so I had to make. So that's why even my email is like a newer one, but it's well, the one that you emailed me on.
Yeah. We'll
the
put it in the chat.
At Gmail. A month ago, I tried to start uploading videos again to YouTube because everybody kept bothering me. The first day, I was banned for a week. I came back. I did a video with Amanda Volma, put that up. They removed that, banned me for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I put up like 14 videos. They removed half of them and gave me 2 strikes. So I would say my YouTube channel, but that's probably going to be removed. And so, like I said, you could just email me. I love to talk to any one of your, your fans, your audience, you guys, anytime you want.
I appreciate it, brother, man. Definitely, man. So, and the shows you said you did a show. What do you have a radio show at the moment then that you're doing underground style, or what is it?
My channel is Vinny B Planting Seeds, is what I just tried to put on YouTube, and upload a bunch of videos. But like I said, they keep suspending me. They like, I don't know, they removed subscribers. They did a bunch of things. So, I'm just throwing it out there. Like I said, to me, whether I do, I'm just doing it because of passion and love for the truth, so even if it just reaches 5 people, I'm fine with that. I don't care. Just like I don't care how big your audience is or anyone else, I'll talk to anybody.
It feels like we could go another couple hours, man, but yeah, we can't hold you up any longer, Vinny, man. We could definitely got to do it again. And yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure, man. Appreciate you coming through, brother.
I appreciate the invite, and it was, really fun meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, it was wicked, man.
We'll definitely have some more fun in the future.
Yes, man. Yeah. One love, bruv. Definitely. That's a good guy, man. Serious.
Yep.
Bless, man.
Peace.
Yeah, man. Have a good day, bruv.
Thank you.
Wow. Live and direct, mother lovers. Live and direct. Oof. So we went in there, boy, as you can see, man. That's why we had to keep that one for this show, boy. A legendary conversation right there with my man Vinny B from out of the Bronx. The chat room went crazy. I see you lot were going in, which is good to see because, yeah, there was a lot of knowledge being spilled that I think people might never have known nothing about. You know what I mean? It's very, very good to chat to him. And obviously, like we always say, man, you got to look into the stuff yourself. That's the only way you can really work out whether something is, whether your soul feels like, yeah, this is a real thing. And so, but it's good to get different information from people, and whatever might, pick your interest. There's stuff that I know you lot knew about already, so it's very interesting seeing what certain people were saying. But yeah, man, definitely got to get him back on again, and I think he's going to help us out as well, man, and get some more interesting people on here.
That'd be good.
You lot to pick their brains. We saw there was a few questions, so you know what I mean. We'll hit him up next time. What's that?
The email that Vinny gave us. It looks like it is probably Vinny B the truth, doesn't it?
Listen, man.
Is that the wrong way
I just
around?
copy and pasted it.
From where you said,
the email. Yeah, I know you lot are saying that he asked, and I said nope, it's not a spelling mistake.
So that's good then, because what he's doing is he's putting a little trapdoor in there for people.
Yeah, because he said like he had to. It's a new one.
Yeah.
He had to change it, so you know.
Good.
But I know everyone's like, yo, no man, they got their magnifying glasses out. That's good to see, man.
Yeah.
Common sense has got a lot, because I've done the same thing. Like, yo, I actually did that when I saw it. I did the same thing. I was like, yo, that looks like it's wrong. So I checked somewhere else, and I was like, oh, they put that there as well. So
good.
Yeah.
I like that. He's got a
I've been speaking to him. Let alone, like, that's my proof there. If you want proof, want to know what proof means, that's it there. The proof is the reason I posted that in there is because I copy and pasted it from an email trail that we've been.
Are you sure you're not speaking to Vinny, database administrator, truth?
You know what? Yeah. Gleam might have been onto something there still, man. Because that obviously it's not concave or it's not a flat line. You know what I mean? It could be a globe line, but we don't know yet. The truth still. But yeah, man, big up all the people that are locked in, man. We appreciate all of you lot. Gleam, you're more BLA, the Masked Detective, UK, IBMCs. He was going in, boy. That was interesting, man. Mr. Green, good to see you back, bruv. I'm open-minded as well. That's the talk the talk, bruv. You know what I mean? Don't feel no way. Yeah, so many interesting things that he was talking about, man. And big up Chris Lahat. He was in the building as well. Touched down a little late. Probably might have to rewind or something, you know what I mean? Unless he was just holding back for a bit. Big up to Turbo Tubalicious. Shout to all the people that were locked in, man. We appreciate each and every one of you, mother lovers. Even the silent listeners, man. We see you out there. Yeah, you can't miss them out, D. No. Can't miss them out. And shout out to the podcast listeners as well that are just checking in on the audio
They
side.
don't even get to comment. They just get to shout at their podcast player. They're sitting in the car on their drive home from work and shout at the radio.
Wow, for
so
real.
Imagine how it feels for them. You lot got a chat to talk to, interact with each other.
At least you lot interacting. That's true. Yeah. That's true, man. Shout out to Don Smithered, Regantology, Robbie Love. I mean, a lot of love in the building, man. People went in as well, boy. Definitely some interesting topics, man. And that's what we always try and do here. Some shit you might never know nothing about. See what time it is right there, D?
Yeah.
Shout out to Cheesy. All the crew locked in, man.
Cheesy saying his name was Vinny B, the truth. They think that the change was from the email hacks. So he changed the little round for his new email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he did, man.
Yeah.
It's
good. Yeah, just a little twist there.
For people who are like,
if you're not paying attention, you won't get through.
Yeah. I mean, he's we were chatting to him before we started the recording, and he's been through a lot of heavy stuff, man. You know what I mean? So I can see why he'd be doing that, and he's probably a guy that I'd have to switch emails every now and again anyway. You know what I mean? And so there's certain people like that. They've got like 5 channels on YouTube because they know one will get shut down. They got another one, and they're always pushing. So you can't blame him. Yeah, it's a tricky world out there.
You have a lot of pairs of socks out there. You want to keep your feet dry.
Yeah, if you're going to keep your feet dry, mate.
Socks, yeah.
Might get don't want to get that soggy toe syndrome. You ain't heard about soggy toe syndrome. They said there's frogs in it, frogs in puddles and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like frogs fucking in puddles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
froggy toe.
Yeah. You end up with it's like some kind of slimy shit oozing out of your toenails. Put that in the news, man. Get them fucking pissed about that. Go on. Yeah. Stick that in the news. Yeah, man. What was I gonna say? There's one other thing I was gonna say before we bounce. Oh, I can't remember now, man. But yeah, catch us this weekend anyway, man. Rewind back to where we are. Friday, I think Friday I'm in Newmarket, sorry, yeah, with the orchestra and that. My last one on the tour with them, with Pete Tong and them. And then Saturday, it's going to be Boomtown. So, get on down there. If you
So Friday's the last one?
For me, they've got one on Saturday in Corbin.
Oh, right,
Festival
okay.
So just for that tour for this summer.
Oh, okay. You're not going to miss like the rap party or anything, or do you think they're going to have a big one Saturday?
Oh, they probably will, but yeah, I ain't going to be there. But I'll be in Boomtown, man.
It's true.
You know what I mean,
but
I'll be there in spirit.
2 parties better than 1.
True. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to make, and I was already booked for the Boomtown one, so yeah.
Boomtown's going to be good still.
Yeah, it's going to be good, man. We're on at a good time as well, 7:30, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's very good. Just as the sun's going down,
hey,
you get to look out and you get a good view of everything, and then you get to carry on your evening. Yeah.
Carry on the evening, rave it up in the festival. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it should be good, man.
Yeah.
So that's 7:30 at the Engine House, and the Engine House is in Copper County. Yeah, Copper County. So get on down there, mother lovers. And also the 31st, but we'll probably see you before then anyway. 31st, come down to Jazz Cafe as we celebrate the life of the legend T.Y. And on that note, mother lovers, as always, shout out to Tubalicious, man. Shout him out, innit? This is some shit you might not never know nothing about. Myself, MysDiggi, and Dan DNA. But guess what? We're out, mother lovers.